Hello everyone, Clay Frederick of the Horror Franchise, back at it with another ranking video. And not only is this going to be a normal ranking video, we are finally doing what I've always been wanting to do from the very beginning. And it's windy as hell out here, so don't mind that. We are finally going to be ranking my fan films. Yes, my very own fan films I've made since all the way back in 2008 to nowadays. And I'm not going to go too crazy in depth. I'm going to go pros and cons with them. And we're doing a tier list instead of traditional worst to best. So without further ado, before we get started on that, God damn. That was a hell of a gust of wind just now. Sorry. But, sorry, I got a little off topic. Sorry. I'm a little concerned about the wind right now. We got 60-mile gust of winds blasting through here, so, yeah. What was I getting into? I got off topic. Because Mother Nature had other plans. If you haven't watched my fan films, I would highly recommend that you watch them. They're literally the very first videos I posted, but it would be better if you find them on my playlists. You have the original horror franchise series, and then you got the Resurgence remakes. And there's also a solo horror flick I made in between the original series. It's called Screech. I have two versions. I got a theatrical version and an extended cut of that, which has alternate scenes and such. So, if you guys haven't watched them, I would highly recommend you watch them because I'm going to be spoiling this series big time. But if you don't give a crap about my movies and just want to see my ranking of them, good on you. But I think it would be better if you did watch them and have your own ranking, your own list. Which one's the worst, which ones are the best. Because just because that I made these and I'm ranking them from my personal opinion does not mean it's definitive to you. It could be definitive to you. It could be definitive to the guy next to you. It could be definitive to everyone else on the other side of the freaking area. So, yeah, there's that. Now, there are 10 movies in the original series. There's a solo Screech movie in between that series. I'm going to do all of them chronological order. So, and I have the 3 Resurgence remakes that I have made in the past 6 years, since 2020. So without further ado, let's get right into it. At the very beginning, in October through December of 2008, I almost said 2008, I wanted to make my own little fan film flick. And I've seen a lot of fan stuff on YouTube, and I was like, man, I want to do something like that. And not to mention, Michael Myers' Halloween as a whole literally got me into doing filmmaking and stuff. He's not the main reason. Well, he's actually one of the main reasons, but there are other reasons too. But he definitely influenced me to do movies. So I wanted to do my own one. And for some reason, I decided to call it Halloween, The Blood of Michael Myers. The story is pretty much my character, which is literally the same name as me, pretty much awakens in my mom and dad's house, getting ready for the holiday event and such, while he's talking to his girlfriend, Kim, who is not really an actual presence in the movie, but through phone calls. She's a character through the phone calls. And while the while, my brother, my sister, my mom and dad are kind of just doing their own thing. They really didn't want anything to do with this movie. They were just there. They were just there. Nothing too crazy about it. They're just there. And all the while, unbeknownst to him, he is being stalked relentlessly and patiently by Michael Myers. He gets attacked halfway through the movie. Then he just brushes it off and acts like nothing happened. And then the movie kind of repeats itself after that. Until he gets attacked again, and ultimately, supposedly, presumably, gets killed off. And at the very end, Jason Voorhees makes a cameo appearance and pretty much sets up for the next movie. That is pretty much the presence of the movie. But before I get into how this movie is going to rank in the tier list, there are going to be pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. It has a good autumn atmosphere. The tone of it, the mood of it, that orange feel that it has, it's all natural. There was never any filter, nothing that I messed with. I took pretty much a videotape camera, just a regular camcorder with tapes, and just filmed the scenery as is. Everything is just as is. Aside from the only kind of editing I've done is put the music in there and just edit the cuts. That was it. But the autumn atmosphere truly is a good setting for a Halloween movie, for a movie I was going to do. But there aren't really much decorations. There aren't really any decorations at all. And that kind of hurts the whole Halloween vibe, the Halloween feel of the movie. Even though I filmed it in October, and a majority of halfway through of it was literally in November and December, Christmas time. And you'll definitely notice that at the very end of the movie. But even then, I did the best that I could with it. But ultimately, even though it is a positive, there's not enough of it. Now, the next thing that I'll say that's good about the movie, and also kind of bad, is the music. John Carpenter's music is definitely present in this movie in certain aspects, but the main music is actually by Alan Howarth, who did Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which had nothing to do with the character of Michael Myers. Nothing to do with the character of Michael Myers. It's literally from that. Why did I do it? Because I really liked the music, and I kind of wanted to do something different compared to what everybody else was doing on YouTube. Well, that's a bad thing. You're kind of disrespecting the Halloween fans. Now, I'm a person who really likes Halloween 3 over the years, and I've always really liked the music, and I liked Tom Atkins. So, yes, John Carpenter's original score is in there, but it's not the forefront. Having the Halloween 3 music in it, it sounds good, but it kind of takes away the tone and the feel of the Michael Myers type of movie. That's pretty much all the positives I have to say about this movie. Other than the fact that it's nostalgia, it's nostalgic as hell, because, I mean, it's my movie, I made it, and it's like a home video. They're like home videos. This series as a whole is like watching a home video. It's really cool. But here's the bad thing about this movie. Multiple bad things. The acting is atrocious. Every time I watch this, I'm like, oh my god, I tried too hard to act serious, and just when I could have just been simple and just normal, just acted like my normal self. But my god, the acting was just trash. I feel like, I mean, obviously everybody else was just being themselves, especially with my mom. My mom's acting at the end when she saves me, oh my god. There was literally no emotion at all, and it was hilarious to see. Especially with me, it's just like I overdid it. Like I was just overdoing it with myself, and that's what made it look so bad. And the fact that I talk to myself definitely does not help. So yeah, there's that. Another thing that's bad is that this movie has no clear direction. There is literally no clear plot point. There's no direction. All it is just me running around the property, talking to myself, and trying to make conversation with my family, who has no care for helping me with this movie at all. And Mother Nature's really blasting through here, and I don't appreciate it. So, but really, all it is just that, and Michael Myers is just stalking, and he attacks me halfway through the movie, and I just go down to the house afterwards, and my sister asks, "What's wrong, Clay?" And I say nothing, and then just act like nothing happened. Who does that? Who does that? That is just downright stupid, and that is just horrible excuse to prolong the movie even longer. So, yeah. I don't. That's just lazy, is what it is, and it's just really made no sense whatsoever. So for the movie to just repeat itself again, where Michael comes back and just attacks me again, and this time supposedly I die at the end, and my mom saves me, and then we set up for a Jason movie. Yeah, and that's pretty much what it. But there's no direction. There's no direction, and to make matters even worse, next negative I gotta say is the movie has a slow and boring pace. There is literally nothing really that goes on in this movie. As I've already said, how the movie plays out, there's just nothing interesting about it. Nothing. The only cool scenes, there is one scene I will make a case about where there's cows. I live in the countryside, so my neighbor's got cows. And Michael's staring at a cow, and a cow's looking back at my camera as I'm filming it from his POV, and the cow runs off. That I liked. I thought that was cool. So, and the two scenes where Michael attacks my character. That's literally it. But other than that, I mean, the movie runs at like 48 minutes long, and it just feels like it's literally an hour and a half. It's just a slog. I know I'm harping on it hard, but I'm being factual with you. But those are my negatives. And of course, the worst negative of all is the horrible design and portrayal of the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Myers himself. Oh, God. Now, mind you, back in 2008, Michael Myers masks were pretty much non-existent to god-awful looking. And there were only two that I had at the time. The first one was one my dad bought with the crazy hair and all. And halfway through the movie, after the first attack sequence, Michael gets another mask. And that's actually my very first Michael Myers mask that I ever bought at the local Toys R Us store at the time. And I just found that. I was like, oh my God, it's Michael Myers. See, at the time, I was like, yeah, this is the shit. This mask is epic. Well, I knew it was dog shit, but still, that was the best I could find. And even my dad and I went trick-or-treating wearing those two masks, and it was fun as hell. So, yes. Just looking back especially, compared to what we have now, it's like, oh my God. It's like some thug trying to rob a house or a bank with the attire he's wearing, where I literally wore a zipped up hoodie with a leather jacket with the sleeves up because I wanted to make it look like he's wearing coveralls. The collar, not the sleeves. Black pants, black shoes. Some thought, and he gets gloves halfway through the movie once he changes the different mask, and he gets a machete instead of a traditional butcher knife. Now I had a plastic little knife in the movie too, but it's like, oh my God. I had to make do with what I had here, and from a creative standpoint, I like it a little because I got to give credit where credit's due. I had to do what I had to do to make it look somewhat like. I had no coveralls. My dad had no coveralls. There were no coveralls. This was the best I could do. And even then, the portrayal of Michael is just he doesn't feel like Michael. I mean, sure, he's stalking you. He's standing there. He's looking at you. That's about the only thing I could do with him. That's all I did. And at the time, I wasn't hardcore into the lore and the meaning behind his character and the movie as itself. I didn't know the original intention. I just went by the sequels that he was going after the family and such. But nowadays, I go by the original movie only because it's the only one I consider canon because I am a hardcore Michael Myers fan, I'm a hardcore Halloween fan, and I'm a Halloween purist now. Because now I understand the character completely. So, with that being said, Halloween, The Blood of Michael Myers is a very bad start to the series. Where do I rank this, though? Obviously, we didn't really properly look at the tier list here. I'm going from masterpiece, great, good, decent, and bad. Obviously, for a movie like this that's got a lot of flaws and how boring it is, and not a lot really happens, it's going in the bad tier. It's a bad start. Now, again, I must say, I got to give credit where credit's due because it's the one that started this whole series. This movie, like you see at the very bottom of this tier list, everything came after this. If I hadn't made this, the rest of the series would never have been born. So that's how I see it. But even then, Not all of the movies are that bad, because I definitely get much more creative throughout. Now we go to Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason Voorhees. Oh boy. This is going to be a good one right here. So we have a sequel that I did in March of 2009. And this time it's going to be in a different set location at my grandparents' property, which is in a neighborhood. So that's already kind of a red flag, right? Where you have a neighborhood compared to living in the woods here. That sounds more like a flip-flop with Jason and Michael there, don't it? Yeah, it does. But we're not going to get into the crazy about that. Let's talk about the story. So the story is pretty much this. It takes place a year later after Halloween, the Blood of Michael Myers happened. And Clay still kind of has a little bit of PTSD. He's still struggling with what happened. And it's really myself, my brother, who's hardcore into wrestling, by the way. At this time, my brother was super obsessed with wrestling, and this is in 2009. So yes, even in 2008, he was a hardcore wrestling fan. I forgot to mention that about Blood of Michael Myers. So yes, his character hasn't changed, which is really funny. But even in, it really is just them living their normal lives. My grandma's there, my grandpa's kind of there. I had to make some cuts in the movie to make it feel fast-paced. We'll get into that later. All the while, a killer is stalking their house, knocking down death's door, and hey, he's here to kick some ass. Although I do get attacked from him pretty early on in the movie, Jason, Jason definitely feels more formidable here. All the while, my family don't really believe that I'm being attacked by another killer up until it's too late when he actually starts attacking everyone else, and then it's up to us to fight him back. Specifically, my brother steps up and fights back. All the while, when everything all falls apart for everybody, including myself, or everyone pretty much gets killed, it's up to me to really finish the game, to put a stop to this mass murderer. With the help of a detective. At the end of the day, I overcome the beast, and we'll get into this later with the ending, but it's funny. Let's go for the pros and cons here. This movie is literally the polar opposite of Blood of Michael Myers, because running at 46 minutes, this movie feels like about 25 minutes to a half hour, and it is fast-paced as hell. This movie breezes pretty quickly. It cuts to the chase real quick. You get 10 minutes of a movie establishing the setting and the characters, which is not a whole lot of that. But Jason quickly starts whooping some ass. He starts going for the chase. And the thing that's about Jason, the difference with Jason and Michael, yes, they're similar in a lot of ways. But Jason's more brutal. He's much more aggressive. He's much more violent. And his kills are far more creative and bloody and disgusting and awesome-tacular, so Mother Nature's really kicking the high gear out here. But, yes. Jason, his presence, and the design of Jason is much more faithful to the counterpart. Jason is a powerhouse in this movie. Jason is intimidating. His presence is felt through the movie. Yes, Michael's presence is felt through Blood of Michael Myers, but it just feels sluggish and boring. With Jason, you feel the intimidation. You feel it. You feel it a little bit if you even enjoy this movie at this point. And there are even some scary little eerie sequences I implemented, especially in the back half when it's just Clay in the house in the dark. And there are some creepy, with the music and all that, it makes it feel creepy and eerie at times. I liked some of that. There's not a lot of it, but there's a little bit of that. So, yeah. And the fact that my family's actually involved in this movie. We were all bored during the weekend. Every weekend we would go to my grandparents' house, and we would just stay there for the weekend. We'd go to Sunday school church on a Sunday morning, and then we would go home and go to school and all that. Repeat the cycle. So, yeah, we were bored. And we're like, you know what? Clay's making a movie. Let's just pitch in and help him out. So yeah, you can see that it's a polar opposite of Blood of Michael Myers, where my family didn't want anything to do with it before. Now they want something to do with it with this one. which makes it a lot more fun to make. And I literally made this movie in like 2 days. 2 days. The next day, we watched the whole thing. We had a good time. We had some laughs and all that. It was a fun movie to make. It really was. However, with that being said, there are still some negatives with this movie. This movie does improve the acting a little bit, but you can tell it's just not great. My acting is a little tiny bit better, but it's, still bad. My grandparents, specifically my grandma and my brother, they did the best they could. We were just like, all right, we're just going to go with the flow. Don't go Oscar-worthy with it. So, yeah, there's that. Another thing that's definitely the worst part about this movie is that it lacks the Friday the 13th atmosphere and setting. It does not have campgrounds, it doesn't have tents, it doesn't have sexy teenagers, it doesn't have drugs and all that. Blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. The Friday the 13th tropes that you prefer to have. It would have worked better at my own property if I actually implemented that stuff. But, it didn't happen. I just went about my own thing. But with that being said, even then, this movie is fun as hell to watch. It's very entertaining. If you just want to turn your brain off and enjoy the ride, you'll have a good time. But another big flaw that I definitely have to point out is that by the end of it all, when Clay cuts Jason's head off and just goes to bed instead of calling the cops, who does that? Who goes to bed after all of this crap? Your family just got killed off. The detective gets killed off and all of that. Oh my God. And then Michael somehow returns and kills me, and then the roll credits. Another thing I want to point out, by the way, is this is the first time where I implemented duplicate characters, or I would prefer the word clones. We'll get into that heavy in the next few ones. I felt like after killing everybody off, I think a detective or a cop should show up, and I had this. My grandparents got me this outfit because during this time I was in a Joker phase real bad, and I just wanted to look like it. But this outfit had nothing to do with the Joker. But I digress. During Heath Ledger's Joker, The Dark Knight, and all that, I'm off topic. Moving on. So it looked more like a detective's outfit. So I was like, "Hey, how have you play a detective, Cody?" Plays John Swain is his name, just a random name we came up with. And he somehow knows everything about Jason and even Michael. And apparently I implemented this thing where Michael and Jason are actually related with some other family called the Repples or something. And it was just, it was just hilarious. So I tried to do something with that. So now Jason's coming after you because you're part of the last of the bloodline and all that. Just trying to implement the Michael storyline in the sequels. Yeah, that was just totally ridiculous and off the wall and doesn't make any sense anyway. But hey, I tried to explain something for the story. Why Jason's somehow after us. But even then, despite all that, the movie's pure fun and enjoyable. And even then, in comparison to Blood of Michael Myers, and as a whole, as its own little thing that it is, in the tier list, I give it a great. That's just my opinion. You can say it's also bad. You can even say it's decent or even maybe good. But it's not a masterpiece. These movies, most of these movies are far from being a masterpiece. There is only a select few that I consider masterpieces. But Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason Voorhees is a great installment in the original series. And you can either agree or disagree with me. That's okay. That's all right. Because, these movies are just pure entertainment, nothing more. Obviously, when we get to the Resurgence remakes, there's a drastic change in quality and such. But we're not there yet. We're far from there. Next up on the list is my personal favorite in the original series, and that is going to be Halloween, The Death of Michael Myers. Michael Myers is back, and this time, we're back in an actual setting that feels more like Halloween. So the story, once again, takes place a year later. Only, it's not a year after Wrath of Jason, but it's a year after Blood of Michael Myers, because after killing everyone off in Wrath of Jason, I made up the excuse to say everything that happened in Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason Voorhees, literally was a nightmare that Clay had. That was it. That explains everything. That was the best I can come up with. So everything was a nightmare. It wasn't a true sequel. And I explain it within the first 15 minutes of this movie. After a dream sequence happens. So it's pretty much just kind of the same as Blood of Michael Myers, but better. It's in an actual location that feels more like Haddonfield's location. It's just really me and my brother that are in this. We kind of gossip here. All the while, Michael Myers is killing people along the movie and finally gets to the house where I live. And, well, let's just say he kills his way to get to me, and it's up to me to fight back. And it's kind of implemented about PTSD, how to get over what happened the previous Halloween. And we'll get to that. First and foremost, it has a great atmosphere and setting. Like I said, I filmed it in October of the same year, 2009, several months after I did Wrath of Jason. Just started my 11th grade year in high school too. So yeah, I was a baby. And the autumn vibe is there, and I filmed it in a week, so it's all in October, so that autumn atmospheric is there, but there's still no trick-or-treaters, there's no decorations, there's no implications that this is an actual true blue Halloween movie. There are still flaws in this movie. Don't get me wrong. It has a good build-up to a satisfying ending. At least I build up to something. It built up to a confrontation. It built up to overcoming this demon. In not the way you think. We'll get to that. It has a massive improvement of the design and portrayal of Michael Myers. Michael Myers actually looks like Michael Myers in this one, and I made him much more interesting in this movie. I actually utilized a proper mask in this one. This is where Michael Myers masks really start to come out in fruition. Because specifically, at the time I made this movie, it was literally a couple months after the release of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which at the time I actually considered to be my favorite movie of all time. Yeah, I know. I actually considered it my favorite movie of all time. Nowadays, hell no. Hell no. Do I dislike the movie? No. I do like it, but it's not a true Halloween movie, and it's definitely one of the weirdest installments in the series. But it definitely has a story to tell about PTSD. I kind of implemented that in this one, and the next movie we'll get into. But it's definitely inspired by that movie, because of Michael's design. I made Michael, in the first 10 minutes, he has cool Rob Zombie's mask from the first Halloween that he did, and he's got the actual coveralls. Yes, I gave him coveralls. And that's the best I can do with Michael Myers. And I actually was starting to get things in proper order. I was actually getting things that actually make Michael's look more like Michael look. And after the dream sequence, his prominent and most distinguished look is I put a Reebok hoodie, zip it up. Actually, it was open. And I put a fox jacket over him to kind of be more like the Hobo Myers look, except half his mask is not torn off. And he wears the hood off and on. And there's even a time where I had him unmasked, and I had a Joker wig, and I actually used it to cover his face. Like I said, it's literally Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 inspired heavily. So with that being said, yeah, Michael's design, for what the creative liberties I put into that, I like it a lot. Excuse me. I like it a lot. You guys may not like it, but I like it. And I think it was cool. Is it a true Michael Myers look? Well, in the first 10 minutes it is, but after that, not so much. And you can maybe make a case about the last 10 minutes because I'd use a different mask at the end. The last 10 minutes movie actually was a dream sequence, another nightmare, where Michael, after the big confrontation that it built up to, there's another like 10 minutes of the movie where the whole thing's a dream sequence. But your whole time you're thinking Michael came back another year later, and, well, it chases me down. And then he gets me. And then I, wake up, and, yeah, here I am. I'm still alive. But then I shrug off the fact that Michael could come back. And I smile, turn my head, and that's it. That's how you end a movie, I guess. All the while in between the movie, I literally had a crush on Scout Taylor Compton, who played Laurie Strode in the Rob Zombie remakes. And pretty much the character of Kim from Blood of Michael Myers that I mentioned, that I talked to on the phone, it's literally, I made her that character. I literally made her that character. And just, whatever. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but hey, it is what it is. Fan service. You know? Even though it didn't really work out so well. But no. There are a lot of weird things I did with this movie, and that's pretty much all there is to that is positive about the movie. It's got the good atmosphere. It's got a nice setting. Michael Myers actually is more interesting in this movie. It definitely builds up to a cool ending about overcoming that Michael Myers and all that. But running at 58 minutes, it does have a slow pace to it. It feels slow. It definitely feels slow. But at least it pays off at the end this time. And the worst thing about this movie, I'll say, aside from the pacing, is there is a confusing amount of different characters portrayed by the same actor, me specifically. My brother played as himself, and then I wanted to add to the kill count a body count for Michael to actually kick some ass. It's all about Michael being more interesting by killing people in this one. So he portrayed as a farmer, and it was a hilarious scene. My God. And then I thought, you know what? I want to do that. So I decided to play a goofy farmer, trying to mimic him playing a goofy farmer, and it just in the worst way possible. And then I played as a character named Justin, who was a friend of Clay's. And I played a sheriff that was called to investigate the area and gets killed. And then not only that, I played as a psychiatrist wearing bat glasses. I can't even say it. Oh, yes. I tried to wear hats, wigs, and all this stupid shit to make myself look like a different person, but you can tell it's me, the same person with a different voice and all that. Oh, my God. And not only that, while I'm talking, trying to make it seem like he's communicating back and forth, I cover my mouth going, yeah. Are you this person? Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. It's so obvious. Oh, Jesus, it's hilarious. Yeah. I think I was on something back in the day. But no, other than that, I had a lot of fun making this one. And, you know, I'm biased. I'm a hardcore Michael Myers fan. And I love Jason, too. Jason and Friday the 13th is awesome. It's my second favorite horror franchise. Jason's my second favorite horror icon. But Michael's my boy. Halloween and Michael's they're my jam. All right? But this definitely is much more better and more closest to the original roots of a Halloween movie that I could get to. But even then, there are still some distinguished flaws in it. But even by that point, do I consider it better than Friday the 13th: The Wrath of Jason? No, by a smidge. Because even though it's slow, it builds up and builds up to a payoff at the end. You can either agree or disagree with me on that. You just watch the movie for yourself. But Wrath of Jason was just fun and fast-paced and just straight to the point. But even then, Halloween the Death of Michael Myers is going to be in the great tier, right behind Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason Voorhees. Now, originally, this was going to be the final chapter in this trilogy that I actually had planned. I was going to make this into a trilogy. And that was going to be the end of it. That was the whole point of it. It was about my character just overcoming the demon and just, you know what, I'm just going to move on with a smile on my face at the end, get back on the computer. That was it. That was just how it was going to be. But then again, it just felt like it was just going to be completely erasing Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason Voorhees. I was like, there was no choice I had to make. If I was going to bring myself back and everybody else back for another movie, that was the only conclusion I can come up with. Unless you just completely, I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, next up on the list is going to be yet another sequel to Halloween, The Death of Michael Myers with Halloween Vengeance. Yes. Filmed in the beginning of 2010, in January. I filmed this in the dead winter of 2010. And I gotta tell you, there are some things I really like about this movie, but there are also quite a bit of negatives I will also get into. The story pretty much sets literally a year after Death of Michael Myers, and this time, Death of Michael Myers happened. Trust me, it happened. And Clay's just kind of just like at this lower point in the movie where it's just like, man, is he going to keep coming back every year and try to kill me? Certain that he thinks Michael's dead from the year prior. We open up with another 10-minute dream sequence, a nightmare sequence. And then the movie kind of just goes about Clay moving around the Varner Hill Road, this area where I live. We're back to the same roots of the setting. We're back to where it all started. That was a nice touch. And Michael is killing his way to find the person who got him last time. And, well, does that sound familiar? Oh, yes, it does. all leading up to another final confrontation once again. And this time Clay might lose his mind. Now let's get the positives out of the way here. Right off the gate, I will say this. This movie has a dark and moody atmospheric tone to it. I don't know if God was with me on this one, but the way, and again, I'll maybe go back to where when I had a camcorder with tapes, I didn't digitize, I didn't edit the saturation or nothing. It came out the way it came out, that was it. It had a gray look to it, it had a darker look to it, and that was perfect for this type of setting that I wanted for this one, because this movie is literally a darker version of Death of Michael Myers. It's literally the Death of Michael Myers retreading that movie again, just darker and more aggressive. So speaking of aggression, Michael Myers is back with the attire that he had from the last 10 minutes in that nightmare sequence at the end of Death of Michael Myers, where he had the bloodied Rob Zombie's Halloween mask from Halloween 2. I utilize in this one. And he's got the coveralls back. So this is literally full-blown Michael Myers look all the way through, just a fucked up looking mask. He is much more darker, he's more aggressive, and he's more intimidating in this one. And I actually used actual butcher knives for the setting instead of plastic, crappy looking knives and such. I wanted to go darker with this one. I wanted to go more aggressive. Another big positive I will say is I introduced a character that I still put in these movies to this day. And his name is Zach Lemley. My best friend's name is Zach Lemley. But he doesn't act anything like this character. I just took a name and I was like, yeah, sounds catchy. So I literally used a character that was more of the polar opposite of myself. And I don't know, he had a fedora hat and sunglasses. I was like, okay, I wanted to introduce somebody who gives good dynamic, who wanted to have kind of back and forth bond between my character and someone who's there to help you out, to be protective, to listen. And that was really good about this movie. I wanted to, by this point, Clay's about lost his mind. He's dealt with Michael 2 times in a row, and he keeps consistently having nightmares, and then when the Halloween season's coming along, it just gets worse. That PTSD's coming back. So, yes, Michael Myers is killing his way to find him again, but he doesn't know yet. He doesn't know yet. There are really good parts about this movie, and I pretty much stated most of that. But there is also negatives. The movie feels very familiar because the story direction, nightmare sequence, me just moping around, doing my own life routine, Michael's killing his way to get to me. And then there's no nightmare sequence at the end, but it does have a cool finale. It definitely has a big finale. Not big, but big enough. Does that sound like Death of Michael Myers to you? Tweaked around a little bit? Yeah, I think it does too. It feels very much like Death of Michael Myers, and it's just retreading itself. It's retreading. Despite the things that I will say, it's dark. It's a darker version, an aggressive version of Death of Michael Myers. But does it feel like a Halloween movie? No, it doesn't. There's no decorations. That October vibe, autumn vibe is not there. Like I said, I filmed this in January of 2010. And it's wintertime. But there's still things I really like. I like that gray feel to it. And it was what I wanted. And another thing that I'll say that I do not like at all about this movie, it's more confusing and annoying, really. And it definitely gets worse after this. Remember what I was saying about me playing multiple characters? Well, I definitely play a lot more of them, and a lot of them kind of look similar. There'll be one where I'll just wear sunglasses. There'll be one where I just wear a hat. And there's one where I'll wear a hat and glasses that looks like the character of Zach. It's like, okay, isn't that Zach you just killed? Oh, he's back. Oh, what the hell's going on? Oh my God, there's so many of them. I can't tell. He's killing Clay over and over and over and over and over again. It is just like, what is going on here? Is this dude smoking crack or something? What is this? Oh no. I don't know. I'm crazy, I know. But no, nobody wanted to work with the movie with me. Nobody wanted to I just did this for fun. I did this because I was bored and I just wanted to have a good time. That's why I continued it with another one, because I was having a good time. I had such a good time making the first three, even though there are massive flaws with them. But they're fun. Turn your brain off, have a good time. So yes, using these different clones and stuff is just abysmal. Now, another thing I didn't really touch on is the fact that really in Death of Michael Myers is really where kills really started becoming a thing. And they're not really that memorable. All it is just Michael's just stabbing, throwing somebody, stabbing, and such. Or choking someone to death, and that was it. There were one scene where Michael does the traditional Bob kill, hanging on the wall. There's that one. And there's a pickaxe scene where I literally took a pickaxe. It's very quick. It's dark. It was getting really dark, and I took it up against a freaking chicken coop. That was probably the best one, but it's not saying much. So I was playing so many different characters and such. It was crazy. But this series is where it starts to really kind of lose steam, and it really starts to go crazy and just off the wall, batshit crazy. Like, especially in the last act, where I tried to kill Zach off after establishing a character that was like, oh, I like the dynamic between him and Zach. Now, you either disagree or agree with me. That's just your opinion. But I felt like I really liked that aspect of the movie. And then you kill him off. Or did I? Huh. But then, another thing I will say is that this movie definitely damn near changed the course of the series. Because of these decisions that I made finally at the last minute, the series ran on to become what it is now. It could have easily changed. Why is that? Well, I had a couple of different storylines in mind while I was making this movie. I originally was going to make myself Michael Myers, a copycat killer. Michael was never going to be the killer in this movie. There are key moments where you'll see my character kind of get a little angry or can't sleep and just say screw this or whatever. Well, that was a hint of me just kind of going on a killing spree. And another storyline I came up with, it was going to be Zach who was going to be the killer, and I would lose my mind at the end. But ultimately, I felt like, no, that just would not work. I don't think it would work. People wanted to see Michael Myers, so I gave him Michael Myers. And at the end, it's really Michael Myers chasing me and Zach is standing up against him, and I pretty much killed Zach off, like, squishy his head just like that dude from freaking Halloween, Return of Michael Myers, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit energetic. That sweet teas are getting me a little happy. So, yeah. But, yes. By the end of it all, I face Michael at the end, and this time I actually shoot him right dead in the head, and I lose my mind. It had a dark ending. Like I said, this movie had a dark tone to it, and it definitely felt it. So, yes. Definitely probably the darkest entry in the entire series, up to a couple of them. But yes, where do I rank this movie? Even though it has some really cool things in it, it also feels very familiar to Death of Michael Myers, and the usage of many people I was playing as, the clones, really confuses a lot of people, I would assume. I'm assuming it confused you guys. Let me know in the comment section if it really confused the hell out of you. Because, by God, it confuses me, even though I'm the one who made it, and I watch them like, what the hell's going on here? But even then, it's got a dark ending, it's got a dark premise, it's got a dark atmosphere look to it, but it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie. It doesn't feel like a Halloween movie, even though Michael Myers is in it. There's no Halloween feel, no atmosphere, despite what I've already said. I'm going to put it middle of the road, good. It's a good one. It's good. I would say it's good plus, B plus, however you want to just say it. I can't even say my words right. But yes, I actually really like this one. I really like Death of Michael Myers. I really like Wrath of Jason. I don't care about Blood of Michael Myers very much, but because that movie set the stage of the series, I have to give it credit. Now with that being said, we move on to one of the most abysmal and off-the-walls, craziest movies I've ever done, and that is Friday the 31st, Michael versus Jason. Oh my God, you already know where this is going, don't you? So it takes place immediate. This is literally like the second move, the first of two that I've done where it picks up exactly where its predecessor left off. It picks up right where Halloween Vengeance left off, and somehow it's snowing. Yes, I filmed this movie 2 weeks later, after I finished Halloween Vengeance. These movies are very close in timeline with each other as far as filmography and all that. And I filmed it in February when we all got snowed in, and I was like, you know what? I want to take advantage of being this snow atmosphere look. And I just felt like doing a Michael versus Jason movie. I had it in the plans. I kind of actually had it in my mind while making Halloween Vengeance. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just do it. Let's see how it goes. So picking up exactly where it left off, Clay is just kind of just strolling in the middle of nowhere, and then the sheriff, played by myself, a fucking clone, is back. Oh my God. And we go to a hospital. All the while, during this, Michael's being transported to the coroner. Michael wakes up and breaks free, kills the coroners, and makes his way to the hospital. Somehow he just knows where I'm at. I mean, Michael's not really dumb. I think he would have known where I would have went after all that fiasco. And not only that, Zach is alive. He is back, and I wanted to bring his character back because I just felt like, man, I liked playing that guy. I want to bring him back because he's a tough bastard. The character of Zach is a tough cookie. I want him to go out with a bigger bang. So, with that being said, Jesus, it is windy as hell today. So the way I wanted to do this movie is obviously Jason's in this movie. He just kind of shows up out of nowhere, just randomly. He just randomly shows up. And the way I presented this movie is that it's different perspectives. You have mine, Zach's, Michael, and Jason's. Obviously, I kind of wake up and try to figure out what the hell's going on here. Oh, there's weird stuff going on here. I'm going to go find a doctor or something. Why is everybody gone? Zach wakes up and just kind of goes, why am I in a hospital? I'm getting out of here. Michael's killing his way to get into the hospital, and Jason's already in the hospital killing people. So all of this building up to me and Zach kind of coming together, and then all of a sudden Michael and Jason butt heads and they fight each other. And it's really just Michael versus Jason in a hospital. All the while Clay and Zach are trying to figure out a way to get out while they're trying to stop the two of them from pretty much getting loose. So they're going to have to sit back and fight to blow them up or something. And so they do. At the cost of someone's life. Poor Zach. It had an explosive ending, but an anticlimactic one. But we'll get into that. Here's the positive of this movie. It is fast-paced as hell. This is probably one of the most fast-paced movies in the series next to Wrath of Jason. Hands down. It is energetic. It is wild. It's like, what the hell's going on in this movie? I don't understand what's going on. It is batshit crazy, but I'm enjoying it, if you are enjoying it. Michael and Jason's fight sequences are stupid as hell, they're goofy as hell, but they're fun and entertaining. If you like this off-the-wall goofiness, then you're going to have a good time, because me and my brother were really beating the shit out of each other and all that, so yes. And it was goofy as hell. The dynamic between Clay and Zach is definitely not as present up until the later act of the movie, but there are a couple of there's specifically one sequence where it gets pretty deep between the two, where Clay's character is at this point just like, I had enough with this. They're just going to keep coming back for me. I'm going to sacrifice my life if we're going to blow up the hospital. Yes, they come up with an idea to blow up the hospital because everyone's dead at this point and nobody's coming to save them. And Zach's like, nah, we're going to get out of here together no matter what. So that's what happens. Well, mostly. And all the while, Zach pretty much sacrifices his life to save Clay. What a true hero, man. What a true hero. He is a Chad. He is a true Chad at the end. And it has a somber ending with his character. However, there are negatives. Of course, there's negatives. Oh boy. Remember about those clones I was talking about? They are way worse in this movie. It is just abysmal usage of them. Oh God. Every scene is just me playing a different person who gets killed. They're just there to die. Random people with glasses, coveralls, hats, coveralls, something. And they just keep getting killed off. Jason's killing people. Michael's killing people. It's all for kills. It's all for the kill count, damn it. It's all about the kills. And it's just stupid as hell. But it's entertaining if you even think it's entertaining at all. But you know what? It is what it is. Another really bad thing, it's probably the worst thing about this movie, most definitely the worst thing about this movie, is it's literally filmed in my mom and dad's house. And I tried to angle shots and make it look like it's a hospital, but you can tell it's a freaking it's a trailer. It's not a hospital. It's not a hospital. It's a trailer. Horrible setting. I could have done it at the garage, but that looks nothing like a hospital either. So, but you know, it's a horrible setting, and we were snowed in. But whatever. It is what it is. And another thing I will say that's not, I wouldn't say it's really bad, but it felt like the ending was a little anticlimactic because I'm ending this movie with a bang. Again, I will say this is literally another attempt in ending the series. Pitting Michael and Jason, the front runners, mainly Michael, because he's pretty much the staple of the series by this point. And Jason's only had one movie, and I wanted to bring him back, and I want to make a Michael versus Jason. I want to do something different at this point. But, you know, at the end of the day, Zach ends his life. He sacrifices his life to save Clay, and that was it. That was it. Clay lives at the end. So Clay decides to live for Zach. And Michael and Jason are blown up. So we think. But yeah, even then, despite all of that, where do I rank this movie? This movie is definitely batshit crazy. It's stupid as hell, but it's so incredibly fun. I just can't help it. Just say it's fun for the sake of fun. It's fun, it's dumb, and it's hilarious at times, and it's just downright confusing at times because of these damn clones, and it's a horrible hospital setting. But with that being said, I still prefer it over Blood of Michael Myers, because Blood of Michael Myers is boring. This movie's fun and entertaining, if you think it is. Let me know in the comment section. For me, I give it decent. It's a decent movie, and it's a decent ending to the first half of the original series. It could have been a lot better, but pitting Michael and Jason in a movie, hell yeah. I'm still waiting for that to happen one of these days. I'm Zach Lumley, and Clay Frederick would really appreciate it if you guys would hit that like button and subscribe to his channel, because he cares about you people. He cares about the content he's providing for all of you. While Mother Nature has different plans here. But other than that, I digress. I just thought I'd jump in here and make a cameo appearance for all of you fine people who enjoy the horror franchise as a whole. Because this series is the reason this channel exists. This series is why things are happening now. And with that being said, let's get back to that ranking video. And I must say, this weather is just downright screwed up, man! Anyways, back to what I was saying here. So, after pretty much feeling like I conclusively ended this series for the most part, I felt like I wanted to do something different with the series, or just make my own solo horror flick of my own, instead of continuing the series for what it is. I wanted to make a documentary style kind of horror flick with my own killer of my own, and yeah, setting in a different location with actual characters of people, actual, I guess you could say actors, but yes. So the movie was called Screech, and the story pretty much takes place, I filmed it from May through August of 2010, and really the premise of the movie is this, is there's a bunch of friends at their own house, and they're just hanging out, having a good time, just having a good time. And little did they know that there is a presence lurking around trying to stalk and kill them. Well, all the while this is being done by documentary style, Blair Witch style kind of filmmaking I was trying to implement into this movie. And the first half hour of the movie is fantastic. People are dying around me and my best friend, Zach Lumley, as I mentioned before. It's not the Zach character, but my actual friend, Zach Lumley. And it's about us trying to fight this guy who killed our friends. Specifically, his brother and his cousin. And then the Screecher just finds a way to come back and kill us all, pretty much. The whole premise of this movie, it's really just really heavily inspired by Blair Witch, but it's not really Blair Witch, but you know what I'm saying. It's documentary style filmmaking. That's a big positive I will say about this movie. It's new, it's different, it feels like it has its own identity compared to what I've made before, but it's also a detriment as well, and I'll get to that. Another positive I will say about this movie is that it's eerie and atmospheric music. The music I used from Monsters Ball, if you're familiar with this movie, had Billy Bob Thornton, Halle Berry, and Heath Ledger. And that's a really damn good movie. I would definitely check that one out. But the music in it I found to be very atmospheric in a way. And I thought, okay, let me put this in a horror movie. And it felt good. I really liked the music I implemented in this movie. And another interesting thing is what I will say as a positive. It's got the Screecher itself. He's called the Screecher. Hence the movie called Screech. And the design I wanted to come up with is that, obviously, he's got the Michael Myers mask. He's Michael Myers wearing a cowboy hat. He's got the traditional leather outfit that I used for Michael Myers in the Blood of Michael Myers movie and stuff like that. And he has various weapons he uses. He's got all gloves. He's all black looking. But I used a ghost face robe, and I put it over myself, tied it up, and it looked like a burnt kind of looking outfit kind of thing. Kind of looking like a cape in a sense, but it's not really flappy like crazy. But it's eerie looking. It's creepy looking at distance. Or certain. If I actually put a big budget in this movie, I would have made the Screecher look really fucking cool, man. I'm telling you, especially like silhouette shots or something. That would have been really cool. But no, I made an interesting character who's pretty much based off of the face of Michael Myers and had that Jeepers Creepers creeper look to it. That's another thing I kind of inspired him by. But the thing that he doesn't make a noise, he doesn't make a sound, he's just a silent killer who just comes in and just stalks you. And you just don't know where he comes from. I had no story surrounding this character. The cool thing about this movie, as well as I will say, is the set location. It's set near a cemetery. My friend, his house burnt down as of today. And literally I had a whole year of hanging out up there before it burnt down. And it really sucks, man. It really sucks. So, but that house was really cool. I always liked the setting of that house, and I like how it's just an open area in the middle of the woods, and next to that is a cemetery. There is a cemetery there, and it's really cool. I thought, man, this would make a hell of a good set location for a horror movie of my own here. And, well, that's where the movie Screech came from. I made up my own killer. Just, yeah, there's that. However, despite that, and the way I edited it as well is I made it look like a documentary stuff. The first few minutes and the last few minutes, you can definitely, it's like a found footage kind of thing. You know how that is. Here's the thing that's a problem about this movie, though. It has an identity crisis midway through the movie. Now, as I said, the first half hour of the movie is literally where the Screecher really shines. Killing Chance, killing Nick, chasing me and Zach, all that. And then it's just like the vibe of the movie, the feeling of it kind of wears down gradually, and it just feels like, okay, what's this movie really about? Because it's really just me and Zach kind of hanging around the house and such. At one point we go out, try to hunt the thing, and then it chases me into the house, and then he just disappears again, and it's just us just going about our lives. And nothing really happens. The Screecher, however, there are shots in this movie where it feels like an actual film. It's not the documentary shots anymore. You're focusing on the Screecher here. And that's a part that I really don't like about this movie, is that you're showing the killer right up close and personal here. It would have been better if he was mysterious. You barely see him. You see him in shadows. It's just like the first half hour of the movie presents him. So that's a detriment. And then the end of the movie starts happening, and then everybody dies. Everybody gets killed. But that's pretty much the thing. The middle of the movie really hurts this movie really bad. It just feels like, where's this direction is this really going? Like, what's going on here? The way I think the movie should have originally done... this was originally my plan, but, working with actual people and actually trying to weave around the schedule and such, it just did not work out at all, and it went its own different direction halfway through. The original consensus I had for this movie is that the first half hour that you watch was supposed to be the whole movie. I mean, of course, drawn out to like an hour or so. The movie's only an hour and 10 minutes. And then there's an extended cut of the movie. It's like, or wait, no, the original one is an hour. The extended cut is an hour and 10 minutes. My apologies. So it's not really that long of a movie. However, it does kind of feel like it's a little bit of a drag halfway through. And then the ending happens, which is cool because of the way I edited it and stuff. But even then, with that, it definitely drags the movie down quite a bit. Another thing I will say, the kills are underwhelming. You don't really see the kills very much, but there's nothing so gratifying or interesting about them. Chop, chop, stab, stuff like that. There's nothing too unique about the kills at all. And technically, the clones are in this where one of my friends, Jeff, in it, he plays himself, and he plays as a farmer who gets killed who's chopping up wood for his family. But other than that, and then of course, I play multiple freaking characters again. The CNN News kind of guy in the first 10 minutes, and in the last like 10 minutes, or no, first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes of it. But other than that, there's nothing too crazy about it. There are a lot of potential that this movie had. There's a lot of potential it had. And there are some cool moments. There are cool ideas. But it didn't fully get realized. It did not get fully realized to its full potential. I think the movie should have been the first half hour drawn out longer, where he's slowly trying to break into a house while we're trying to fortify this area and they just don't know where he's coming from. I think it would have been a lot better done that way. Now, had I done this as a remake, I can guarantee you that premise would return, and trying to convince my friends to do it nowadays is kind of hard to pull off. I can tell you that right now. Right now, yeah. I can tell you right now, the way things are, it'd be hard to kind of work with them. I'm not saying nothing bad about us. It's just the way life is nowadays with everybody. It's kind of hard to do. Or maybe it's just me. Who knows? We'll probably work around it. But even with that being said, this movie had lots of cool moments, but there's also a lot of things that were just like, huh? It's feeling off. Something's off about this movie. The pacing a little off. Midway through the movie, things just really go downhill. And then the last few minutes of it was pretty much where things get up. But by that point, the movie's over with and everyone dies. The Screecher wins at the end. The Screecher wins and kills everyone. Now, granted, this is a solo movie. It has nothing to do with the original series. But I wanted to implement it because I made it and I had to include it in this list. But with that being said, where does this movie go compared to the rest of the series? I'm going to put it in good. Because this movie is just a mixed bag with me. There's a lot of potential it had. It just didn't go full fruition with me. Had I remade it nowadays, it would have been a masterpiece. I can guarantee you that it would have been a masterpiece because I would have gone out of my way. With the way my techniques are nowadays and how much knowledge I have about filmmaking now compared to back then, it would have been a lot better. But that's all I got to say about Screech. It's a mixed bag, and that's all there is I got to say about it. Now, next up on the list is going to be, oh boy, Friday the 13th, The Return of Jason Voorhees. Right around the time I was finishing Screech, I was like, man, this is a great setting to kind of bring back the horror franchise with something new and fresh. And I felt like I wanted to come back to the horror franchise at that point. I missed doing it, and the character of Zach was in mind. Not my friend Zach. I'm talking about the character I portrayed in the horror franchise. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I set it like a time gap of 5 years later and bring that character Zach again as the lead, give my character a break, and bring Jason back at this location of Pleasant Valley Cemetery? That would have been a much better setting for a Crystal Lake setting compared to my grandparents' house. And so that's where it came out of nowhere. So set 5 years later, giving it a new fresh start. Jason has been incarcerated. Apparently he survived the explosion of the hospital. And he wakes up, kills all the people, and escapes. Zach gets word of this, and tries to convince everybody that, hey, we have to find this guy and we got to whoop him and we got to incarcerate him or kill him for good. The sheriff, Sheriff John to be exact, is just like, hey, nothing to worry about. Well, Zach decides to go home. We finally get to see where he lives. My friend Zach's house. We get to see he likes to work on cars. We see he just likes to hang out with his party-hardy friends. He's just an old cowboy guy. Likes to do cool things. Work on guns. Or play with guns, I guess. All the while, Jason is hunting and killing his way to find the person who burned him. Sounds familiar, right? Well, it doesn't last that long. This movie is running at 39 minutes, by the way. It's definitely amongst the shortest in this franchise. And the pacing, I could say, is definitely pretty much moderate. There's nothing too crazy about the pacing of this movie. However, let's go ahead and get the positives out of the way. So, obviously, as I said, the character of Zach Lumley is the lead, instead of myself. At this point in the series, I really like the character of Zach, and I almost killed him off in Halloween Vengeance. I almost killed him off again in Michael vs. Jason. So I thought, man, this guy's too cool to kill off. So I gave him a traditional cowboy hat, which becomes his signature look alongside the pair of sunglasses he wears. There's your character. That's him. And with that deep voice that I have, man, let me tell you something, kids. This sounds very weird coming out of my mouth than character Zach without the shades and the hat. Where's my hat and my shades, damn it? This is downright screwed up already, the video. Anyways, a fresh new location set at Pleasant Valley Cemetery, where my friend's house used to be, is a much better and faithful look for a Friday the 13th type of movie. But there's no camp. There's no sexy teenagers. That's a damn shame. But anyways, even then, another positive I could say, actual people were in it instead of traditional clones. Now, granted, clones are still in this movie, but they're not as bad as they were. They're still here, but we'll get to that later. Having my friend Zach, and pretty much the characters that I put in Screech are in this. This movie literally, if you watch Screech and this back to back, because these movies literally are neck and neck at the same time frame as I made them, so there's that. I hung out there a lot too at the time. So it was nice to see different people in it. They don't get a whole lot of screen time in it, but at least they're present and there, and it gives the horror franchise something new and fresh as well for characters as well, instead of myself playing multiple people. And another thing that's great about this is that it has a great build-up to a final confrontation. I mean, this one is far more better and satisfying confrontation because Zach is different compared to my character Clay. My character was just, I guess you could say, a weak character who gets stronger throughout the series little by little. I'm just a normal kid. But the character of Zach was a potential character that could be stronger, more intelligent in his usage of guns and stuff, and just a more badass character than what I ever could be. Anyways, it builds up to Zach and Jason fighting, and I made a scene. There was an original scene that I made where it's a one-shot set at my grandparents' backyard, and it was my brother playing as Jason and me in one shot, and it just felt so weak and underutilized. Well, many years later, spoiler alert, by the way, I filmed when I was actually editing and putting music together for this series, because back then, I would film so much of it, and I would watch it unedited, with no music or nothing, until I put it all together in my DVD collection that I made. And they were edited, music, all that. Everything that you see in these movies is what I put together, actually edited and put together. And I did that in 2014, several years later. That's another thing I should have brought up earlier, but hey, it is what it is. And I decided to reshoot the ending fight sequence with Zach and Jason. And it's so much better. We actually beat the shit out of each other. I mean, it's me dressed up in both characters, but still. They beat the crap out of each other. Zach's using guns. Weapons are being used. I mean, it may seem cheesy of a fight, but at least it felt personal and serious. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it needed to be. Zach and Jason fighting. Ultimately, Zach wins the fight, and the sheriff comes in at the end and says, you know what? I think you were right. And Zach's just like, You know what? We got nothing to worry about. I took care of it. It had a cool ending. And it didn't really build up to another movie, as well, it usually pretty much would. But it felt like it was a kickoff to a back half of a series in a very strong way. However, there are some detriments. Once again, the clones are still there. Clones are still around. I play multiple characters in the beginning again, and there are 2 different people are getting killed. Blah, blah, blah. And there's a couple other people that are getting killed throughout this movie. Now, there's only like, 4 people I play that get killed or something. Other than that, that's it. That's all for the clones. Like I said, this movie is definitely one of the most shortest ones, so there's only so much that can happen. But I wanted to have Jason do some kills. Speaking of kills, the kills are repetitive and underwhelming. Jason, there's only one kill I did, and it's the first kill in the movie where he takes someone by the head, jabs a knife into him, and that's the first time you actually see blood, by the way. When I lay my head on a cooler, fake blood laying down my head. Yeah, that goofy as hell. The only time you actually see blood, and that, aside from Death of Michael Myers, where I slashed that dude's throat. Yeah, or Michael slashed that dude's throat. But it is what it is. Other than that, it's just Jason. Chop, 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 chop. Or choke someone, throw them down, and chop, chop, chop. Yeah, it's kind of boring. But other than that, the rest of the movie just feels new and fresh. And it offers new things for the series, and it brings it back to fruition. And it's entertaining. And it builds up to a kick-ass fight between Zach and Jason. So that's all I got to say. That's really what the movie's about. And it's a new set location and all that. It feels a little bit more like Friday the 13th in a way, because it's set in the woods and a big cabin house looking thing. So there you go. There's that. And now where do we put that? Where do we put that movie? Where does it go? Obviously I have to put it in great, because it brings something new. It brings a fresh start to the series in a positive way for the most part. For the most part. That's your opinion. However way you feel about these movies, that's your opinion. Let me know in the comment section. Now we get to the next one on the list. Is a Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Varner Road. A Nightmare on Varner Road, man. So, once again, I wanted to do something different with this series. And obviously it's not in Elm Street. I call it Varner Road because it takes place at my mom and dad's house. We live in Varner Road. And throughout the series, I thought, okay, Zach, I'm going to give him a break as well. I want to give somebody else a shot. Who better to do it than my brother, Cody? I felt like it'd be cool to have my brother, because he was prominent through the series here and there, and I thought, let's have him be the star of something else. And why did I do that? Well, because I wanted to bring a new villain in the fold. That meaning Freddy Krueger. Oh yeah. Obviously, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Varner Road, however you want to take it. There's the reason. So it takes place a year after the events of Return of Jason, and Cody's having nightmares. And while having nightmares, he calls to his dumbass acquaintance, Donnie Kong, one of the worst characters I've ever played. My God. We'll get to that. While they're discussing, hey, we're having the same damn nightmare. We might want to do something about this. And Freddy's pretty much taking, you know how Freddy works. He invades your dream state and trails you, you die for real. Shit like that. And then halfway through the movie, Zach returns in the movie as a sub-character, and he talks to a new character named Tessa, who apparently is engaged to my character, who is not in the movie, but is mentioned. And then we go back to Cody and Donnie dealing with Freddy Krueger, and then they find a way to bring Freddy out in the real world and pretty much kill him. Oh, there you go, that's it. But here's the positives I'll get to before I get to the damn negatives. Oh, God. Cody is the lead. Cody himself is literally the best part of the movie. He, for what he did a good job. I got nothing bad to say about him at all. He took the role as best as he could, and he did it with stride. Even though there's a lot of goofy moments in it. Bringing a new villain in the series was also something new and fresh for the series. Freddy Krueger. At the time I was doing the series earlier, I was a Freddy fan, but I wasn't as big as a fan as I am with Michael and Jason. And I've only seen a couple of Nightmare on Elm Street movies. until around this time. By the way, I filmed this movie in November of 2010, several months later during the winter. So, yeah, off topic. Sorry. That is what it is. And at the time, I was getting into the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I watched Freddy's Revenge, the second one, then the rest of the series down to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which I've already seen. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is the first one I ever saw. Then I watched the original, and I've seen Freddy vs. Jason. So those are the only three I actually seen. And then I watched the rest of the series, and yeah, there's some crappy ones and there's some decent ones. But other than that, now Freddy's Revenge, the second one, I know it's a controversial one, but I really like that one. That one kind of kicked off this idea for me to do a Freddy movie. So I did it, but all the while, Freddy's design, we'll get to that later, as you can already tell on the screen here. But those are the only two positives I have for this movie, unfortunately. However, with that being said, Donnie Kong. The character Donnie Kong. This name was the pure meaning of an idiot character. Now, I played a good idiot because I am an idiot, so there's that. I picture him as the Jar Jar Binks of this series. There's something about the way I played this character. Now, granted, I played him the way I wanted him to be played out, as a complete idiot and annoying character. And compared to other characters I played, like the character of Zack and even Sheriff John, which he will become a much better character later down the series, he's just annoying and boring, I guess. And that doesn't help with the story as well. Cody, I give him credit for just trying his best. It is just funny. You just gotta watch the movie to understand it. Now, this could be just bull crap I'm spitting out. Maybe it's just my opinion. I don't know how you guys will feel about this if you've even watched these movies. And I highly recommend you do watch them before you watch this ranking. But hey, it is what it is. You do what you want. But Donnie Kong, I did not like the character. He just annoyed the shit out of me. I mean, I played him well, but I just was like, oh my god, what is this? Why did I play this person? So I didn't really like him, and I was glad I killed him off. Another thing that really hurts this movie, despite the worst thing, it had a pointless subplot. Hence, the character of Zack returning, having nothing to do with Cody's story. He's talking to a girl named Tessa. They go to a pizza place with another girl. They talk about life. They talk about things. And I wanted to bring up the fact that I wanted to introduce a subplot where the relationship between Clay's character and Kim, the one that he talks to on the phone, didn't work out. Ends up being engaged to Tessa. And it becomes a surprise to Zack's character. And that was pretty much the whole setting of that storyline. It lasts about like 5 to 10 minutes or something, but all the while, it has nothing to do with the core story of the movie with Cody, Freddy, and Donnie. It has nothing to do with it. The only reason I even implemented this scene is because I wanted to get my girlfriend at the time, Tessa, into this movie. That was the only reason. And I didn't want to bring my character back, which an unedited version of the movie where I do show up at the end completely ruins the whole movie. So I edited this the best I could that mostly connects to Cody's character, his story, what's going on with him, the Freddy stuff, the Donnie stuff. The unedited version is way worse, I'm telling you. Speaking of Freddy, you can obviously tell on here that I had no makeup and I didn't have a proper sweater. I had a trench coat because I wanted to go more into the Wes Craven's New Nightmare look where he had a trench coat in that. And of course, the only thing that definitely worked is the fact that he had the hat and he had the gloves with the razors on it. That was an actual replica glove that I had. That was all I could work with. I didn't have no makeup, no nothing. We had nothing for it. So, as far as talking like Freddy, welcome to my nightmare. that was about the best I can do. The mannerisms and such, I did the best I could to make him look like Freddy, but you can tell it's a crappy looking Freddy. It is a bad looking Freddy as far as the acting wise. I mean, I did the best I could by trying to act like Robert Englund. It may work for you, it may not work for you. That's just up to you. But it didn't really work for me. But I did the best I could. Had I actually looked like Freddy Krueger, which I now have the actual stuff to make myself look like Freddy now, oh yeah. A potential Nightmare on Elm Street resurgence movie? I hope one of these days, if I come up with a good story. I know you guys would really like that. Because I would make a hell of a faithful Nightmare on Elm Street movie. So, this movie literally is just disrespect to Freddy and A Nightmare on Elm Street as a whole. I'd hate to say it, but it's true. This movie is just a poor attempt at a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and I know the reason why is because I didn't have a clear direction, and working with my brother Cody, I was originally planning to extend it more, but he just wanted to get it done and over with in the back half. So, with the whole subplot with Zach and Tessa's character, I could have just taken that out and replaced it with more nightmare sequence. The whole movie should have been focused on Cody's character and Donnie and Freddy all the way through. I think bringing Zach's character back, because I really liked playing him. I think he's literally my favorite character in the horror franchise. And I made him out like to be the Daryl Dixon of The Walking Dead and shit like that. So there's that. That could be your... I don't know how you guys feel about the character if you've seen these movies. But I love the character of Zach. So, and he was original. But I feel like his place in the movie was not worthy. Even though he comes in at the end of the movie and saves Cody, that was literally the only importance he had with this movie. Other than that, Freddy starts out a little intimidating and then quickly gets relegated to being weak and underwhelming really quick. And not intimidating at all. Just not intimidating. That is something that we do not want with Freddy Krueger. He's supposed to be the strongest and the most terrifying, because he really is terrifying as hell. He truly is, if not the most terrifying horror icon of all time, because you have to sleep at some point. You gotta sleep, otherwise you're gonna go in a induced coma forever. You need to sleep. Your brain needs to shut down a little bit. You gotta go in rest mode eventually. You know, it is what it is. And if he comes after you in your dreams, you're dead, man. You die in a dream, you die for real. That's pretty terrifying. But I didn't implement it in full fruition in this movie. All the more giving it its place in bad. It is a bad attempt at a Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Varna Road is worse. As bad as I like to say it, despite Cody being the lead, and he did a good job for what I gave him in this movie, he was the best part of the movie. Him being the lead, bringing a new villain in this movie, it was the only thing that was good about it, but it was also the fucking most horrible thing. Again, I'm not harping on my brother. I'm harping on myself because I didn't fully realize this movie the way I should have. And it's the worst one in the whole series, by far. So that's all I got to say about that one. Nightmare on Varna Road completely downgrades the back half of the series big time. But with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next one. The next one is going to be Friday the 13th, The Revenge of Jason Voorhees. Taking place a year after the nightmares with Cody and Freddy, and 2 years after the events of Jason's the return of Jason. And that wind is really blowing. Damn! It's still blowing hard. Sorry. Zach is living at the Fredericks house, which gives more screen time for my mother and my little sister, and a little bit of my brother. So there's that. All the while, Jason is coming back once again to find Zach and fight with him. The first 10 minutes, Zach fights Jason. Hell yeah. And then in the middle of the movie, he gets locked up, and we also have more of the Sheriff John character that I mentioned in Return of Jason. This gets him more fleshed out a little bit. And then Jason eventually breaks out by fighting his way through the police, and then he goes back and tries to kill Zach, and then Zach fights back Jason again, and then it builds up to a hell of an ending. where it's a cliffhanger. We'll get to that. Let's go ahead and get the pros and cons. It has a great first act, the first part, and a great ending, followed by a cool cliffhanger. The first 10 minutes, Zach fights Jason. Zach is just living his life at the Frederick house. Jason breaks in the house, and they square off within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Great first act. And the ending is really cool because it builds up to a cool fight, and it also the cliffhanger makes it even cooler. Zach is back as a lead again. Another big positive. The character of Zach gets a little bit more time with the Frederick family to have him a little dynamic. Nothing too crazy compared to what Halloween Vengeance did with my character and him. There's a deeper conversation and stuff. It's just them hanging out. And a cool cliffhanger where Freddy comes back at the end after he stabs Jason and becomes the spotlight killer for the next movie. Freddy, you need it, baby. Yes, you do, man. After the underwhelming performance of the last one. So yes, with that being said, the movie's middle act is a little underwhelming. There's not a whole lot that happens, despite Jason breaking out of a prison that looks like my mom and dad's bedroom. Yep, once again, bad setting for that. We're not talking about the setting. But also, the movie is literally the shortest in the series, running at 38 minutes. So you could say that the middle act is just done and over with. The first 10 minutes, last 10 minutes, and then you got the next 15 minutes of the movie is literally the middle act. So it's not going to be that bad. Still, it slows down a little bit. And then we get to the worst thing about this movie is Jason Voorhees himself. After looking badass as hell in Return of Jason, which I forgot to mention, I really like the look of Jason. It's literally like the Screecher's look in a way, but has that traditional look he had in Michael vs. Jason. But just Ghostface Robot made him look burned up and charred, and he has long hair and all that. Jason comes back looking kind of like Wrath of Jason design, but worse. He's got this traditional jacket, which I still have. I used it for that little like and subscribe. That's the same jacket, by the way. Still got it. Hell, I still got that one Adidas hoodie I used in my previous movie I made. So yeah, I still got some hoodies and stuff from before. Off topic. Jason feels weak and underutilized. And underwhelming. I wouldn't say underutilized. He's in it prominently in the movie, but he's underwhelming compared to how we built him up in Return of Jason and how he definitely was in Wrath of Jason. He gets taken out pretty easily by Zach, and again at the end of the movie, and he gets taken out by Freddy easily. Jason is tougher than that. He's not a bitch. He's definitely not a bitch. Jason's supposed to be a Hulk. He's a hulking menace. He's supposed to be overpowering and intimidating. Jason and his look is literally what I did, the same look I had for the character of Zach and John. All I did was take the shades or the hat and shades off, put the hockey mask on. If I wanted to play John, take the hockey mask on, put the shades on. It was lazy. It was not creative enough or creative at all. So yes, those are detriments big time. And despite all that, it's got a cool first 10 minutes, got a cool last act of the movie, got a cool cliffhanger for the next movie. Overall, the movie was just plain filler. It was plain filler. You could say that Nightmare on Violent Road was filler as well, because I had plans for the next 5 movies. I've already had it set up. I already knew where the direction of the series was going to go at that point. I was like, I'm going to make another 5 movies. And you can feel it with Nightmare on Violent Road. You could definitely feel it with Revenge of Jason here. Like it's building up to something else. But even then, there are cool things in this movie. Giving it its place in the decent. But it's almost bad at the same time. I'd say it's about like D- or something. I don't know. Bad being F tier. It's definitely not as good as Freddy or Michael versus Jason. I'm sorry. I almost said Freddy versus Jason. We already have that. But it's still better than Blood of Michael Myers by a hair. Because there are a couple of boring moments. But the first 10 minutes and the last few minutes definitely makes up for all of that for an entertaining show. So yeah, there it is. My ranking of that movie. And now we get to another big one here. This is where the series really comes back with a bang, in my opinion. We have A Nightmare on Varna Road, Freddy's Revenge. Oh boy, does he come back with a vengeance in this one. Picking up immediately after Revenge of Jason. Again, the second of the two that I mentioned about Halloween Vengeance and Michael vs. Jason. Picking up exactly where it left off. This movie picks up immediately after that with Zach and John fighting Freddy after he beat Jason. And the first few minutes, they literally have a hard time fighting Freddy because he just keeps popping up in different spots. And he's screwing with them. And Freddy said he had plans for Zach or something like that. And then Freddy disappears. Zach is like, where did he go? And John says, I'm going to put up a whole group of people, police, to try to find him. All the while, Freddy has entered Zach's dream state. Freddy can find your weakness, and I took advantage of that. Zach, through the series, has always been the tough guy. Nothing could beat this dude. Well, in this movie, Freddy would be the one to do that. He picks in his brain. Zach fears mostly. Here's what Zach, the character, fears mostly. The loss of his friends and family that he considers family. The Fredericks are considered his family, and it's his job to protect them. Freddy literally picks at Zach's brain, and it makes Zach worried. You never see that in Zach's character. I finally make Zach vulnerable in this movie. And Zach is that blockade to the Fredericks. If Freddy can get to him, he gets back at Cody. He gets to everybody else in his family. So Zach is that guy standing in the way, and Zach is getting a little bit worried. He goes to Tessa, the character from the first Nightmare on Varna Road. And this time, that side story actually has a meaning to the story, because Zach is the main character. Zach is the central part of the movie. And it all builds up to Sheriff John coming back and introducing another character named Doug Burke, who is a friend of Zach, to come together to fight this unquestionable entity that may not be conquered. And in all the while, Jason makes a cameo appearance once again in the back half of the movie, and they all square off big time, leading to a mini Freddy vs. Jason, leading to a big ending where Zach finally overcomes Freddy, and even Jason gets his ass whooped at the end of the movie. All building up to a big conclusive finale to the back half of the series featuring Jason and Freddy's characters. Big time. And it feels like it. But before I go any further, let's go into the positives and negatives. Here is a positive about this. If you don't already notice by now, it actually has a decent story. A good story for me. The character of Zach really is a central part of this movie, where Freddy picks at Zach's brain and really terrifies the shit out of Zach and has control of him. He's trying to possess him. He's trying to make his way out into the real world and kill again. All that. And Freddy feels strong. He feels overpowering. He feels much more intimidating than what his first outing was in Nightmare on Varna Road. And it definitely presents something new to the story instead of the same old in the previous movies. Freddy actually comes back with a bang in this one. Speaking of Freddy, as I've already said, Freddy finally gets what he deserves in this movie. He becomes so strong and terrifying and overpowering. And not only that, the most terrifying villain in all of the horror franchise as far as the original series of 10 movies goes. The original series, Freddy actually becomes a threat big time in this movie. And to the point where he damn near gets Zach killed. It has a satisfying ending. Another positive that I said, where Freddy and Jason square off. Freddy kills Jason. Freddy would be the one to chop Jason's head off. And Zach kills Freddy. And it feels like an actual ending between Zach and John. They have their moment of peace. And Duck gets killed, by the way. Freddy kills Doug. Freddy killed Donnie Kong in the other one. And he kills Doug Burke. A character that you actually really like. Or actually know who is. I mean, speaking of which, I finally found a proper way to utilize the clone thing, the clone characters, I guess, that I portray as. A great use of multiple characters portrayed by myself. I play as Zach Lumley, I play as John Sherman, the sheriff, and I play a new character named Doug Burke, and I play Freddy Krueger. And you actually see who's who throughout the movie because I'm just wearing the shades and the hat as Zach. I'm playing as Freddy Krueger, obviously. Sheriff John's only got shades. Doug Burke's only got fedora hat. So, yeah. There's that. There's that. And not to mention, the last act of the movie takes place at a familiar location at my grandparents' house. That's where the big final battle would take place. So, there's that. I like my grandparents' home. It definitely sets a hell of a good mood. So, there's that. Even with that said, there are some detriments. Specifically, a slow pace in the first act. The first act of the movie feels slow. But running at literally like 59 minutes, I believe is the time frame of the movie, it's slow as hell, and it's building up. It's building up. But man, does it build up to a hell of a third act. It builds up to a hell of a third act. And I'm just saying this in comparison to all my other films and stuff. This is definitely one of the best and the strongest, and it feels like a positive ending in the series. But it's not the ending of the series, you know what I'm saying? All the while, due to that fact that I've already said, it feels so conclusive and positive, and it gives a story that makes Zach feel vulnerable that you've never seen. And it makes Freddy come back with a bang. So huge and deserving compared to what I tried to do with him the first time. And I originally was going to have my brother come back, but he just straight up didn't want anything to do with it. So I was like, alright, cool, whatever. I'll do it with Zach then. So where did this movie end up on the tier list? I mean, it's pretty much an obvious no-brainer from what I'm saying so highly of it. It's going to be great. It's not a masterpiece because there are some flaws. Freddy's design still is not that great. All I did was take the trench coat off, and that's pretty much it. Even the sweater doesn't have the same color patterns and all, and it's not even an actual sweater. So, like I said, I had to make do with what I had. His design's not great, but he feels stronger than what he did the first time I tried to play him. But with that being said, we're moving on to the next one. We move on to the grand finale of the original series. The grand finale. The last Halloween. And this movie is all about ending the entire series as a whole. Nightmare on Freddy's Revenge is all about ending the characters of Freddy and Jason in the back half of the series. This movie ends the entire series as a whole, and of course, as the title says, it's ending Michael Myers big time. So Michael has not been present in the last few movies, because I wanted to give him a break, because I felt like it was turning into a Halloween series. So I gave him a break and gave Jason and Freddy a chance to shine, and they did. So taking place 3 years after the events of Freddy's Revenge, and 6 years since the events of the hospital incident in Michael vs. Jason. So Clay is back. My character is back. And worthy. I had to come back. I had to bring myself back. And this time I'm suffering from depression and loss and all that because apparently off screen I killed my my girlfriend at the time off because, well, I broke up with her and she is just a horrible human being and I'm not going to go too in depth with that. She does make a cameo appearance in the first few minutes of the movie, but that's like a past scene, a scene from the past. So, my character is dealing with loss, PTSD, and such, and I just don't have a meaning in life. All the while, we see the return of Zach, my brother Cody, and John Sherman's back. We see what there's going on. Michael escapes from an institute who is being transported. And he breaks out, killing people along the way. The clones are still present in this. But at least this time I have finally found a footing in trying to portray people that you actually know who's who. So, with that being said, Michael breaks out, and he ends up at the Frederick house and kills my mom. My mom gets axed. It's horrible. I hate that. I hated I had to kill my mom off, but I had to do something strong for the series. Setting up for my brother, Cody, his character is about getting back at Michael, trying to find him and get back at him, get revenge for what happened. Which leads to Zach's character, who helps him, which helps Cody, and even the Sheriff John, who helps Zach fight off Freddy and Jason. Yeah, let's back Cody up. We're gonna work together and we're gonna find him. All while they're trying to chase down Michael, we got my character, who is asked to fight back against Michael and is told about what happened. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And for good reason, because I tried to get away from that life, and hearing that Michael's back and he killed my mom, that would really take a psychological toll on myself. So that makes things even worse for my character. All leading to the fact that I pretty much just want to unalive myself. In the movie, not in reality, guys. So my character, Zach, is like, no, we're not doing this. This is a bad time. And this is a great scene in the movie, a great character scene between my character and Zach's character. We're polar opposites of each other. Zach is about staying strong and focused and just staying determined to stay alive for anyone. I just want to give up. Zach kind of gives me a little bit of hope not to do it at all. But all the while, there is a huge, big old twist in the middle of the movie where it turns out John is leading everybody astray, and he ends up being a traitor by leading everybody to the house where Michael is already at. Turns out, John Sherman, the sheriff we've come to really care about, if you did care about him at this point, is the mastermind behind all of this. All of it. Michael, Jason, not Freddy. Freddy just comes out of nowhere. Which definitely explains in the movie that I was trying to set up for a prequel movie where there was a terrorist named Prime. Don't ask me where the name came from. I just don't want to get into that. He was a terrorist that pretty much set up everything to happen. It's just hard for me to explain. You have to watch the movie yourself to understand. And Michael and Jason was the reason for John just to really feel of importance as a sheriff, I guess. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen this movie, and there was this subplot that's one of the biggest flaws in this movie, and probably one of the only biggest flaws in this. But it is what it is. Aside from that, it really served no purpose, and it all builds up to Zach being abducted by John and his other cop that I don't want to talk about. Daniel Dale's his name's character, but he's a douchebag and all that. But leading to Cody escaping and coming to the only person that can potentially save us, and that would be my character, Clay. So it's up to Clay and Cody to save Zach and fight off John and potentially fight off Michael. All leading up to a big final confrontation between Clay and Michael. But not in the way you think. Here's the positives of the movie. It's got a strong-ass story. A strong story about fighting that demon inside, fighting the depression and the PTSD, and just wanting to give up so bad, but you find a reason to move on and finally face the very thing that made your life the way it is. Michael Myers. Building up to a hell of a cliffhanger, if you could say. I left this movie as an open ending from hell. You can either love that or you hate it. But I left it open-ended. Whether Michael killed me, or I killed Michael, or we both died. That was up to you, the viewer. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. My grandpa did not like that. He watched the movie and goes, "What was the point in this?" He hates cliffhangers. It has great character development, as I've already said. My character particularly, even Cody's got a revenge story. Zach is just like, hey, we're going to work together, and we're all about honor and authority, and we're going to find this bastard who took him out, all while being the voice of reason for my character. It is a fun and entertaining final act. The last act of the movie is totally worth it. It's got a build-up, once again, to a hell of an ending, and that was it. That was pretty much all there is to it. However, there are detriments. It has a slow pace. This movie is running at 92 minutes, an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half long, the longest in the series so far, in the original series. It is a slow-paced movie, and that's not the only thing is. It lacks the Halloween atmosphere, unlike the first couple minutes with the opening credits, where there actually are decorations. Holy crap, there's decorations. So, but other than that, it doesn't feel like a Halloween movie at all. It doesn't have the mood and atmosphere of a Halloween movie. Once again, like I said, why Death of Michael Myers is my personal favorite in the original series, because it's my favorite of the Halloween movies, and it is the one that feels close to a Halloween movie as best it can. Even though it's not entirely a Halloween movie, it feels like. This one definitely does not feel like a Halloween movie, although why it has a hell of a story. It's got character development, and it's got great characters, for me at least. And it's got a great final act in the movie where Michael Myers shines big time. Speaking of Michael Myers, he comes back. But his look and design, never thought I would say this, but is worse than Blood of Michael Myers' look. And not to mention the mask I had to use. I wanted to go back to a regular mask, but the mask I used was god-awful. Worse. Worse. I say worse. Look at it! Look at it! It's terrible. It's terrible design. I don't know why I did that. Part of me felt like I wanted to go back to Blood of Michael Myers' design look. Why I came up with that idea, to this day, I don't even know why. I should have just had more coveralls. It would have been so much better for him. So much better. Even though Michael does kill some people along the way, he is definitely regulated as lacking in presence, because the character development came first. The story of the other characters was front and center. Michael was backburned through, even though he's here in certain scenes throughout, he does not become the front runner of the big bad until the last act of the movie, because John, the sheriff, is the main villain of this movie. And he sure does get an axe to the face at the end, which gives Michael the opportunity to be the ultimate badass. And he fights Zach at the end. Another thing I'll say that's a cliffhanger to Zach's character. The thing about Zach's character, if you know him well enough, there are two options I gave him. He tells me and Cody to run up to the garage. Zach fights Michael, and he gets his ass kicked a little bit, shooting Michael in the face. Zach has one option. With one bullet left in the gun, he looks over to the corner down there at a path and a trail. Does he shoot the bullet and run? Or does he take that final shot and goes out with a bang? What do you think Zach's character is about? I already know the answer, but that's up to you. That's up to you, the viewer. And the same thing happens with the ending, of course, with my character and Michael. So there's that. Other than that, Michael definitely shines in the back half of the movie, or near the end of the movie, the last 10-15 minutes of it. Even though he's present here and there throughout, he's not really the front and center face of the movie. It is called The Last Halloween for a reason. It's the last entry in the series, in my series, and it started with Michael Myers and my character. It's going to end with my character and Michael Myers. That's how I wanted to do that. Despite the flaws that I have with this movie, it has a hell of a good story. It has a hell of great character development. And I'm comparing this to the other movies in the franchise, because these movies were never meant for story and character development at all. But with that being said, The Last Halloween is the great tier. It's not a masterpiece. It's got flaws. But it's still a very good movie. To me, at least. As a Halloween movie, it fumbles. As a Michael Myers movie, it also fumbles. But as a movie on its own, with a strong story about depression, how to overcome the things like that ruined your life, and you come back with a vengeance and all that, damn good. And it's got cool characters. So there's that. That's my opinion. Plus, I'm being more credit because they're my movies and they're all that. So with that being said, from January through August, I filmed The Last Halloween, and I thought it was time for me to just kind of take a break. Life kind of got in the way big time, and I attempted to make a sequel to that Screech movie that we were talking about before, and it didn't really go anywhere. So I just decided not to post it on YouTube. It was really just one big home video of me running around town with my friend Zach and other people, and just a lot of people that were in the town that I lived in, a lot of people that he knew, some people that I knew, and it just didn't really go anywhere. So I just kind of left it as one big blooper home video reel of some sort. So that's only for my eyes only, because there are things in it that I will not share to the world, because there's some Yeah, content that I do not want to share. So that's just for my eyes only. Sorry, guys. So after that, I decided that I was going to just kind of fall off and do other things in my life. Well, I had a job at that point. I graduated from high school in 2011. So, yeah, the real world got to me. And for a long time, it was just pretty much like that until 2020 when the pandemic of COVID-19 hit. And that gave me a lot of time to kind of build myself back into that world. For a long time, even before that, I was wanting to kind of do a remake of the series because I'd already concluded it before and I didn't want to continue from there. If I was going to come back, I was going to remake the entire series as a brand new series of its own. And if I was going to do it, over the years since the last Halloween, I have been collecting a lot of masks and props and outfits that would actually make the killers look more prominent to themselves. And if I was going to make something new, with my filmmaking technique over the years has drastically improved, and my acting, of course. And Halloween Resurgence was born from that. So, as of now, on my channel, Halloween Resurgence is the most popular and highest rated and highest viewed video on my channel with like 85K as of doing this video. And that's a lot compared to most of my videos, which literally go from none to like 10 to 20, 30 views. So yeah, there's that. And what do I have to say? Well, let's get it right into it. First and foremost, the story completely erases everything else, starting completely over. We see a young Clay Frederick awaking on the morning of Halloween Day with strange thuds and a knife, a mysterious knife, laying on his front property. He talks to his dad about it. He doesn't know nothing about it. Talks to the family about it. Doesn't know nothing. Seems like a normal day for them. Didn't take anything out of the ordinary. Went about his day. Well, as the movie progresses, he starts to feel uneasy by an unknown presence lurking around. He feels like he's being watched. He feels like he's being stalked by someone. And little by little, as it progresses, it becomes more apparent that there is something eerie, something strange, something pure evil lurking around and just hunting him down to the point to where it's too late. Too late as his family is killed one by one. So yeah, there you go. We're already jumped a massive gun, didn't we? Where's my pros with this? First and foremost, the atmosphere of Halloween night. Oh my God. I made damn sure that the tone and feel of this movie was going to be as Halloween-y as possible. Halloween-y, baby. Obviously, I started filming this movie in the early stages of COVID-19 in late February to early March. And I thought, okay, the leaves are not really orange and on the ground, so I had to wait a while. And while I waited a while, I was trying to figure out a story, trying to figure out how the movie was going to be simply made anyway. So around the end of September and through the middle of October is when I filmed the rest of the movie. And yeah, there's a good reason I did that, because the Halloween vibe was present. The leaves were there, the decorations were out, the orange vibe in certain aspects were there. And that's what made it feel like a Halloween movie. I truly wanted to make sure it felt like a Halloween movie because of the flaws that I made in the original series. As I mentioned, the Halloween The Death of Michael Myers was the closest because it was filmed in Halloween time. Well, here you go. I filmed it in early spring, like the original John Carpenter classic was filmed, and they had to make leaves out. They had to use a leaf blower or a big fan to blow leaves and such. Well, I just waited until late in the fall, or early fall, just to get that Halloween with the leaves and all that. And it's there. It's there. And even the decorations are there and such. If only I had a pumpkin, that would have made it even better. Another thing I'll say is that compared to the original Blood of Michael Myers, the acting is far drastically improved. Because, well, I just wanted to act like myself this time. I didn't want to overdo it, pretend like, oh my God. No, I actually genuinely just was like, okay, just be yourself. Don't go too crazy with it. And everybody else was just being themselves. That was just all I said. Just be yourselves. What if scenario? What if this happens? Such like that. Overall, my acting is definitely much better in this movie, and to the bitter end, where there's a couple of goofy moments, obviously. There's a couple of little moments where I was like, okay, a little bit over the top and such. But, you know, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes. Gripping music. Oh, yes. The music from the 2018 Halloween. Halloween 2018's music is definitely the front runner of this movie. And it shows because, man, the music in that movie was epic as hell. And I wanted to use it in this one as like a reboot of the entire horror franchise. And, you know, that's how it works. And at the time, Halloween Kills was going to be coming out that year too. But obviously because of COVID-19, it got pushed a whole entire year, which really was not cool for me. I love Michael Myers and Halloween, and I was not very happy about it. But anyways, I digress. The music is epic. The music is definitely one of the best parts. The way it was edited, the way I put it together was just perfectly balanced with the scenes. And it sets the tone for the atmosphere and the mood of the movie as well. Another thing that this was an accident. This was an accident right here. The pacing of the movie starts out real slow. But as it progresses, along with my character, because I'm the main focus of the movie, the more I become more tense, the more paranoid I become, the more terrified I become of something that's going on. The pacing grows in strength. It becomes faster and faster and faster as everything's becoming more narrow, to a point where the last like 20 minutes is just like, holy shit, what's going on? This is getting intense as hell. This was just a total accident in the editing, my editing. It just happened that way. I don't know if you feel that when you watch this movie, but I feel it when I watch it every time. But it starts out slow and just gets faster and faster as it progresses. Not like immediately faster, but gradually faster as the movie progresses. And that is a definite positive. And of course, the best part of the movie itself, the most important thing about it, is a faithful and intimidating presence of Michael Myers. Learning from my mistakes from the original series, this is unquestionably Nick Castle's Michael Myers. The way I portrayed him was without a doubt as faithful to the original intention of the character as much as possible, because I presented him as a ghost-like figure as he was presented in John Carpenter's classic. He was there, then he wasn't there. He didn't move as much. He was graceful. He moved with such ease. It's like a cat stalking its prey, being still and silent, waiting for that moment to strike. I portrayed Michael that way. He was there and he wasn't there. I made him move gracefully. And of course, when he was attacking, he was full-blown attacking you. That's just how it was. That's how it was. And I got the mask and the coveralls right this time. I had blue coveralls this time. Michael Myers' mask is Trick or Treat Studios' original John Carpenter classic from Captain Kirk. You know it. That's the one. And the way I lit him in the daylight was when he was further away. But when we're in the shadows and certain shots in the house here and in the garage and such, the mask was bigger than my head, all right? And I made it look like it was darkened out. People were probably wondering, how did you make it so dark like it? Well, because the mask is bigger than me, and it actually, in certain shots, the light's not going in my eye sockets, so where you can see my eyes. Now, certain shots, you can probably see it, but it worked. Michael's eyes are never supposed to be shown. You're supposed to be mysterious. He's supposed to be a mysterious figure. You don't know if he's human or supernatural. He's just in between, and that's all there is to it. Through and through, the ending of the movie is pretty much the same as John Carpenter's classic. My little sister saves me and my brother, and he's gone. Michael just disappears into the ether. Gone. Gone with the wind. Period. That's all there is to it. Leaving an absolute terror in my character and everyone else. But the only really flaw I have with this movie, there's actually a couple flaws. First and foremost, as I was mentioning about the pacing, the first act of the movie, the first half, is definitely slow. But like I said before, it's not really that much of a big deal because the movie progresses, it gets gradually faster and faster and faster. My opinion, again, I don't know how you guys feel about that, if you've seen the movie or if you have and are interested in this ranking. Another thing I will definitely notice that I will say is there are cuts in certain shots, specifically between me and my brother when we're having our dialogue scenes. You can see we're just like arms crossed, then all of a sudden we're like this. Shit like that, you know what I mean? But other than that, those are the only nitpicks I really have with as far as the editing department goes. But hey, I had to make the scenes shorter somehow. I had to get right to the pace because some of them scenes dragged out quite a bit, and I had to do some cuts to be like, okay, let's make this scene shorter and get get into the next scene. But other than that, where do I rank this movie? I mean, come on now. This movie is a drastic improvement compared to the entire original series as a whole, because this is an absolute faithful adaptation to what the Halloween IP is, to Michael Myers' character, the Halloween atmosphere. The music is freaking kick-ass, and just good acting in general. Mostly good acting. So this movie clearly, for the first time on this list, is going to be a masterpiece. It truly is a love letter to the original movie, and that's how I wanted to make this movie. I wanted to make a good Halloween movie, and I wanted to redeem Michael Myers as I present him as a character in the horror franchise as a whole. Because in the original series, neither of the killers really were that faithful. Jason, you can make cases kind of faithful. Freddy, I redeemed him in the end. But Michael Myers definitely got the hell of a short end of the stick, and I needed to redeem him. He's my boy, he's my main man, and I didn't want to do him dirty. So I justified the hell out of him. Next up on the list is going to be the sequel to, or one of the sequels to Halloween Resurgence. And that would be Friday the 13th Resurgence that I filmed in, when the hell did I film it? September through December of 2022, 2 years after Halloween Resurgence. And I was waiting for a right time to film this movie because I had a plan to do a Friday the 13th Resurgence literally not long after Halloween Resurgence. It just didn't happen because, again, life gets in the way. Things that I wanted to do with it had to be more ambitious than what I did before, specifically with my family and my brother. And I wanted to have my grandparents back in it, and I had it in my head that I wanted to do a complete remake of The Wrath of Jason Voorhees. Yes, that, if you've seen Friday the 13th Resurgence and if you've seen Wrath of Jason, then you can tell there's the similarities in that movie. But they're also different. And I'll tell you what it is. So it's set 2 years after the events of Halloween Resurgence, and Clay and Cody are living with their grandparents in New Jersey. Unbeknownst to them, they are living on the horizon where Camp Crystal Lake used to be. And it is completely quarantined and fortified by police and such because there are strange activities happening. And the grandparents are like, hey, there's weird stuff going on in there. Don't go down there. Well, pretty much, Clay's suffering from PTSD big time, and he's still having night terrors. Cody feels that it's upon him to take it upon himself as a brother to help him kind of be like, hey, let's go check out something and have a little fun. Cody trying to be a good brother and such. Well, little do they know that actions have consequences. They check it out. They see a Crystal Lake sign. They're like, holy crap, we've heard stories about this place. So it is true. Are they really true? Holy God. Do our grandparents know? Then we're introduced to a character that I wanted to bring back. Zach Lemley. Yeah, boy! Zach is back! And he is a police officer this time. He's actually a retired cop in the original series that I never mentioned, but he's actually a rookie cop in this one. Their best friend, they're all good friends still and such, and Zach is still kind of Zach, but more of the regular guy kind of character. He's not the over-the-top badass that I presented him in the original series. He's just a normal guy, and he's a really good friend to the family. That part still stays intact. So, obviously, the grandparents figure out they walk down the property, and, well, they have a massive argument, and, well, there's a lot of tension and stuff going on with Clay's character and the family just as a whole because of that action that had consequences. So, Clay decides, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I want. He has a mental breakdown. Things just are not going well at all for Clay at all. But then, Jason shows up and screws everything up big time for everyone. Chasing Clay to the main property of the grandparents' house, shit hits the fan, and the biggest risk I took, I killed myself off halfway through the movie. Yep, I did it. I made a move. I needed to do something new and different with this series at this point, and I took a risk by killing myself off. And to this day, I'm kind of like, damn it. I know I needed to do something different, but I kind of regret doing that because the series cannot continue after I killed myself off now. And I'm not going to make it a dream sequence like I did with the Wrath of Jason movie. So there's that. So now it's up to Zach and Cody to take matters in their own hands to protect the grandparents from Jason, who is chasing him through the house. And Jason definitely whoops some ass in this movie. All the while things are falling apart, there is also the return of another character that my brother decided to play since I was playing Zach in this movie as well. John Swain comes back, and he's a much better character this time. So yes, you can see the similarities with the original Wrath of Jason, you could say. And as everything, they're trying to figure out how to stop Jason. A lot of bodies are dropping in the process. Everybody pretty much dies except for Zach and Cody. And it's up to those two to fight Jason until finally they conquer that devil. And, well, you could say actions have consequences. Big time. And they did. And Cody is pretty much feeling lots of guilt and regret for just walking Clay down there trying to help his brother and all that. Well, that triggered Jason to walking into his domain. You see Cody broken down just like Clay was from the very beginning. Zach is pretty much at the very end of the movie telling him, maybe it's time we do move on. Maybe what everyone would have wanted, the ones that passed, would have wanted you to overcome this and walk out that door and show the world that you can overcome this. And what does Cody do? He takes those words, he takes that advice, puts on a blue flannel, and walks out that door, knowing that everything's going to be okay. Let's get to the positives here. Obviously, from what I've heard there, what I was just telling you, it's got a strong story about how actions have consequences. And it's also about PTSD as well. PTSD is definitely here in this movie, but we're going to get more into PTSD with our next film. It's got a fantastic character development, specifically with Cody's character. You could say my character as well, who's struggling with things, and even the grandparents, and even Zach's character. He becomes this rookie guy who becomes an absolute badass at the end. And it's got some really epic music again, because I took some music from Halloween Kills and Halloween 2018. I even got some Friday the 13th the game music, and just the original Friday the 13th is in there. Just stuff like that. Cool kills. Definite cool kills in this movie. What was lacking in Halloween Resurgence is that my mom and dad were killed in that movie. Traditional Bob kill with my dad. My mom gets scissors in the back, and pretty much just like Halloween 2 at the hospital with that nurse. But that's not really crazy. At least there were some creativity with kills. I mean, kind of inspiration from the movies. But then you have the kills in this movie. A lot of people die in the first 5 minutes. And seeing my I get stabbed in the chest, in the heart pretty much by a K-bar knife. My grandpa takes a pickaxe to the face. My grandma gets thrown in a trash bag and thrown against a wall. And yeah, Zach gets his arm cut off, and we think he's dead, but he comes back with one arm shooting, one hand fighting Jason, badass. And Jason's head gets cut off, and so I forgot, John Swain, the detective, gets his back snapped. So yeah, there's some cool kills in this movie. I actually went out of my way to make some cool kills. Nice. But how can we talk about the kills without talking about the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Voorhees? This dude, I made sure, was an absolute savage. He was a badass. And not to mention, he looks badass and gets even more badass looking throughout the movie. I wanted to do some difference with this. I wanted Jason to take damage in this movie because Halloween Resurgence was more of a slow, methodical suspenseful horror, whilst Friday the 13th Resurgence was going to be more of the panic action horror type of thing. I wanted to up the stakes with this movie. Take what I did with the previous movie and make it more ambitious. And Jason needed to be that. Jason is far more brutal and menacing than Michael Myers is when it comes to how aggressive he is and how he kills people. So I needed to do that with Jason. Jason needed to be the guy to do that. And I feel like I've done that with this movie. Jason, he starts out with a traditional hockey mask. I had a regular hoodie with the Fox hoodie that you're probably familiar with the previous original movies I've done. And a Carhartt hoodie over that with some gloves. Nothing too crazy. I wanted to make him bulky. Once again, a call back to Wrath of Jason with that other leather jacket. I made it, because I'm a scrawny guy, and to portray Jason, I needed to be a little bulky looking. Sure, I'm maybe small, but Kane Hodder was small and bulky. I made myself look bulky as best I could. But you can tell it's me. And there are certain parts where you think it's my brother playing him as well. Me and my brother played Jason in this in certain shots as well. So, yeah. But it started with the blue pants and all that, and then he gets axed in the face or axed in the head by Cody, traditional, the final chapter look, mask. And then he gets a pipe bomb or whatever you want to call it by Detective John Swain throwing it at him, and Jason blows up, and you see him at the shack where his mother's shrine. That's totally Michael Myers' mask, by the way. I thought it was hilarious. But I had to use something for the Pamela Voorhees' head. But hearing Jason's mom talking to him was definitely a nice callback as well. And there are moments where it feels like Friday the 13th. We'll get to the negatives here in a minute. But Jason's Part 7 kind of inspired look where the Carhartt's gone, you got the Fox hoodie back, and I took that same idea with Ghostface's robe, tie it on and make him look like he's burnt up. I took a Part 7 mask, and then I put the Part 7 mask that I ordered online specifically for this movie, and man, it looked cool as shit, man. I loved this design of Jason. As a creative design for a cosplay, I was like, yeah, I like this a lot. This is definitely the best look Jason's ever had since Return of Jason, when I actually got creative looking for him. But yes, Jason, it ain't just about the looks. It's just how his intimidation can be. And he goes on a killing spree in this movie. And that he had to be a terrifying force to be reckoned with. And he is. And I used a lot of props. I went from a traditional axe to the pickaxe to the damn big-ass long machete that I used. Oh, yeah, man. The machete was a savage-looking thing. But yes, Jason was a beast. He was a beast. I feel like I fulfilled that. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like I did a great job making this movie. However, there are still some issues with this movie. Specifically the pacing in the first act. The first half of the movie, obviously the first 5 minutes, definitely feels like Friday the 13th. We'll get into that part. But the first 5 minutes just sets the bar. Even though some of my friends' acting was, specifically my friend's ex-girlfriend, was not a good actress at all. That's the detriment for that. Overall, this movie had strong acting, but they're not meant to be actors. You know what I'm saying? They're not built to be good actors, but I had to do what I had to do. Not harping on anybody. That's just how it is. That's just how it turned out. So, it is what it is. It has a slow first act because Jason's barely in the movie. He's in the first 5 minutes, and then it's really focused on the characters of the movie. Jason, you only see him walk out of frame from a tree, and you only see his boots and such, setting the tone that Jason has he's out of his domain, and he's stalking them. But that's all you get until the next act when Clay gets chased by Jason. That's when Jason's full force. Hands down. Another thing that I will say, obviously a tremendous lack of Jason. And the movie does not feel like a Friday the 13th movie still. Still, I feel like I could have done a better job with the campgrounds and the sexy teenagers, you name it, all that crap. But again, I don't have the ability to do that because I don't know anybody that can do that yet. So, maybe one day if I make another Friday the 13th movie, I will definitely make sure it's on a campground or somewhere to make it look like it's on a camp with a tent and, hot people and all that stuff. I wish. God, I wish. But it is what it is. Now, with that being said, still, as far as a strong story about how actions have consequences and PTSD and character development, and Jason's a badass in this movie with cool kills and epic music. This movie, where do I put this? It's literally, come on now, even though it's got some detriments to itself, it's still a masterpiece movie. Because I took editing and the ambition. It was a very ambitious movie. And it was definitely a pain in the ass to make. It started out fun. Halloween Resurgence was probably the funnest movie I've made to this date. Friday the 13th Resurgence started out fun, but it became frustrating along the way trying to work with my grandparents because, they're up in age. And working with my brother as well. But even then, it turned out mostly really good. Damn near perfect. It's probably my favorite or my best work in the horror franchise. That can be debatable. Because of as far as editing and such, going ambitious with its story and such, continuation from Halloween Resurgence, I delivered. And delivering a far more formidable threat, continuing off the story of Halloween Resurgence, and how actions has consequences, and PTSD and such like that. And how overcoming it at the very end with Cody's character. But it's a great movie. It really is. And I know that I've seen some comments on this movie. It's the second highest rated YouTube video that I've made with 62K views. Still pretty good. Still pretty damn good. But there are comments that I see, about half the comments don't really care much for it. I don't even think they got past the first 5 minutes, to be honest with you. I will say, the first 5 minutes it sets the stage for the rest of the movie. Well, it actually doesn't. It just shows that I'm trying to make a good Friday the 13th movie. Is it mostly a good Friday the 13th? That's debatable to you. But as a movie on its own, I think it's a really damn good movie. I don't think people give anything a chance anyway. If they watch a minute or 5 minutes, they're like, oh, this sucks, I'm out. Well, you didn't give the rest of the movie a shot, I bet. But hey, what is what it is. I don't know for sure. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion. What am I to say? Maybe I'm just butthurt because people talk shit and for no reason. Now we get to my newest movie on the list. And the final chapter for now. I feel like it had a great ending. Halloween Resurgence 2. This movie's getting up there. It's already past 1,000 views as of, a month ago or something? So, and I just did it. I just posted it literally this past Halloween in 2025. So, whoa, man, what do I got to say? This movie is literally the product of the announcement of Halloween the game. This is all this movie is. I had no plans for this movie. It just came out of nowhere on the top of my head. Out of the pure excitement for Halloween the game, within a couple of days, I was like, man, I feel like making another Halloween movie now. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a sequel to Halloween Resurgence. If I'm going to do this, I got to go back. Not erase Friday the 13th Resurgence this time, but to create an alternate timeline sequel. I was thinking about the Blumhouse trilogy of the David Gordon Green trilogy of Halloween, because you can literally make the case they completely skipped the rest of the series except for the first one, and they made their own sequels, an alternate timeline. They've done this with H2O as well, but it is what it is. So I wanted to do that this time. I wanted to create my own little sequel, proper sequel to Halloween Resurgence. You can even still say Friday the 13th Resurgence is a sequel to Halloween Resurgence. You can go by either timeline. That's how I set it up. And, well, here's what I wanted to do. After the ending of Halloween Resurgence, this movie takes place literally a moment afterwards. It takes place right after, and we have Officer Zach Lemley back this time in a different outfit, and you have the reintroduced character of John Sherman, played by myself, with a completely different look. I have a beard this time. Yes, I found a beard at work, and I should have used it a long time ago, but I found a proper one, and I got my hat, and I have glasses on, so I look like a completely different character for the most part, but you can tell it's me playing a different character. But still, I did a damn good job with that. They hunt down Michael, they shoot him off of a balcony of the garage, and he's gone again. And now, for 5 years, Zach and John were probably like, what the hell just happened? How does this happen? What is going on? For 5 years, things have been quiet for the town of Haddonfield. Clay Frederick has been suffering from PTSD really bad, as there's a montage for that. It definitely tells a story of what his life has been like. He's fortified his home. He's got cameras all over the place. He's got guns locked and loaded. He is prepped for war like Laurie Strode in 2018. Except he's not as crazy, I think. But even then, we're not done with the story here, are we? 5 years goes by, and, a case is being reopened by Zach. There are mysterious murders happening, and Clay is interviewed by the sheriff. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. All the little bit they know is that has the Shape returned? Has Michael Myers returned to kill again? We don't know. It could be. It looks like Michael. Until halfway through the movie when things are starting to fall in place. At one point, the Shape stalks Sheriff John. Sheriff John runs to Clay's home. Clay takes it upon himself to be like, you know what? I'm taking this asshole out myself. Well, Zach shows up after he figures out some things from talking to Cody, digging up some stuff about Clay's past. Well, turns out Clay was the one killing everybody the whole time. How's that for a shocker? So remember what I was telling you guys about the copycat storyline that I was going to go for Halloween Vengeance with my character or Zach's character? Well, guess what? I came up with that idea when I was taking a shower, and I was thinking, you know what? I never really pulled that story off. I'm going to do it with this one. Do something different again with the series. I didn't want to completely redo Halloween Resurgence 1. I wanted to do something new and fresh. And I wanted to create a message about overcoming PTSD or succumbing to it. So I succumbed to PTSD in this one. And I wanted to do something different as well. Michael Myers is not in this movie except for the first 10 minutes. And he's also in it a couple of little times through the movie. If you pay attention to the shoes he's wearing. And the coveralls are different colored. So Michael Myers does show up at the end after the big battle between Zach and my character, and I have a complete nervous breakdown with tremendously powerful acting along the way. And Michael Myers shows up and fucks things up real bad, and it's up to me to face the boogeyman once and for all. And I do. But here's a kicker. The whole thing was a dream, except for the first 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm an asshole. I know. But that also tells a story that I will overcome PTSD. It tells that I have overcome PTSD. This is what the positive of this movie is. It is a powerful story about PTSD, overcoming PTSD. I wanted to tell a story about it could be anybody that's going through struggles over anything. You can one day overcome it if you try hard enough. If you try hard enough. I know it's a hell of a fight, but you can overcome PTSD. That is the message of this movie. I wanted to give the audience that are suffering through PTSD of any kind hope. That was the point of this story. Accompanied by terrifically strong acting by my part, playing myself, Officer Zach, Sheriff John Sherman, and the Shape as a whole. I wanted to just convey a hell of a story about that. Fantastic characters. Again, myself, Officer Zach, John Sherman. What a trio in this movie. I did a damn good job playing these different characters. And it just goes to show my talent. My talent, full swing in this movie, hands down. Fast-paced as hell, by the way. This movie's got a strong pacing. And it's only about an hour and 35 minutes long. And it goes by pretty damn quick. It gets to the point of everything that's going on in this movie. Again, powerful music, without a doubt. And the first, we see an opening credits sequence for a Halloween movie for the first time properly done. I've been wanting to do this. I should have done it with the first Halloween Resurgence. But you know what it is. It is what it is. I did it with this one because the music in Halloween Ends is freaking badass, and that's what the music I did. This movie is also an inspiration to Halloween Ends. As divisive as that movie is, this is an inspiration to that movie. I don't hate the movie, nor do I love it. I'm in between with that movie. But this, I want to do something different. And even though I wanted to show Michael Myers at the end, Turns out it was all a dream because it is what it is. What are the chances of Michael Myers coming back and coming after you? Because Michael Myers doesn't give a shit about anybody. He's just has no emotion whatsoever. He did his thing, he attacked you, and he disappeared into the ether. Period. That's all there is to it. But it leaves a psychological toll on my character. It's the character, my character, that is not letting go. Well, you know what? He used to love Halloween up until the events that happened. But until it turned out to be a dream, he thought to himself, you know what? That could be me one day. If I go on like this, I will probably end up like that dream I just had. So you know what he does? He buys a pumpkin. He starts handing out candy to trick-or-treaters at the end of the movie. He starts going back to his favorite holiday, and it puts a smile on the character of Zach's face. Zach is happy. He's happy. As he walks away, Clay can smile again. He lets go of that demon, that fear of Michael Myers coming back. As realistic it may be, or maybe not, that's your opinion. That's the story I wanted to tell. That you can overcome it. You can overcome that fear and that demon that's coming after you every single day of your life. But even the positives, there are negatives, such as, I don't know, that depends on you. How you feel about this movie, about Michael Myers being the killer or my character being the killer as a copycat killer, that's on you. That's up to you. Michael Myers is limited in screen time. He's only shown in the first 10 minutes, and he's shown a little bit throughout, and he's only in the final confrontation between me and Michael Myers. My favorite part of the movie, having to fight my dad in certain shots is funny, but it is what it is. Had to be a little ambitious with that fight scene. It's a little flawed too, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. But that's the only detriment I got with this movie. So I don't know how people will feel about the fact that I'm a copycat killer and making you think that Michael Myers was the killer the whole time, and the fact that the whole movie was pretty much a dream except for the first 15 minutes. I took a swing with this one. It may land with some people. It may not land with everybody, but it is what it is. I wanted to do something different. And I did a damn good job as far as putting this story together and the editing and the dialogue and all that stuff. Oh my God. This is peak filmmaking for me right here. Truly from start to finish. And I know I can do better if I work hard enough. Because there are other movies I can do in the future. There are still other movies I feel I can do. So where does this movie go? Obviously, it's a masterpiece in filmmaking. It's a masterpiece, without a doubt. Truly. This movie is peak cinema in the horror franchise. But where do the rest of the movies go from worst to best? Oh, we haven't gotten there yet, have we? Let's have a look. Take a look at this list real quick. Okay? Here's my ranking from worst to best. Yes. Take a gander. Take a gander. Not a lot has changed, except for pretty much in the masterpiece and the great section. Obviously, when it comes to the original series, the last Halloween is the best in the original series because of its strong story and character development, and it's a conclusive story. Friday the 13th, The Wrath of Jason, Halloween, The Death of Michael Myers, Freddy's Revenge, Return of Jason, those are fun. Those are good. Even though they have flaws, tremendous flaws, they're still the better of the bunch. But now we get to the masterpiece part. This is a hot take, but I feel as far as strong storytelling goes and character development and such that, you can make a case that Halloween Resurgence 2 is that, but I feel like Friday the 13th Resurgence is much more of an ambitious take, and Jason is a far more formidable threat, and all that. But you can also say Halloween Resurgence, which is my personal favorite of all of them, because it is a love letter to the original John Carpenter classic. Then you got Halloween Resurgence 2, which takes film editing, acting, how talented I am with playing different characters, and just taking a big risk by making a copycat killer myself. And it has a hell of a message about PTSD, overcoming PTSD. These three movies truly are just peak in their own way. But if I were to pick one, as far as like anything and everything, Friday the 13th Resurgence. As far as a filmmaking perspective. Halloween Resurgence 2 is literally right there neck and neck with it. But if I were to pick one, it's going to be Friday the 13th Resurgence. But if I were to pick my all-time favorite, it's Halloween Resurgence because I'm biased. You know it. It's Halloween Resurgence 1. It's the best, it's the most highest rated movie in YouTube, in my YouTube channel. So there's that. That's all I got for it. So that's my list, guys. That is my long-ass video tier-making list of... This is probably my longest video of all time, by the way. Now I'm thinking about it. Damn, this is a long video. But hey, you guys have wanted this video. Certain people wanted this video. And here it is. My ranking of the horror franchise fan films that I created from my high school days to now. And we're still not done. There are other ideas that I have. It's just going to be a while. I have to wait for the right time and the right motivation because I need hardcore motivation to do things like this. I was hardcore motivated for Halloween Resurgence 2, and it shows. So with that being said, that's all I got for you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Have a good one.